when you find a professional on Angie to make your backyard the best around. Connect with skilled professionals to get all your home projects done well. Inside to outside, repairs to renovations. Get started on the Angie app or visit Angie.com today. You can do this when you Angie that.
My doctor told me my blood pressure is borderline. I figured I could worry about it or do something about it. So I took control with Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula. It works safely and naturally to help maintain healthy blood pressure with a custom blend of garlic, vitamins, and minerals. And it's odor-free. I'm taking charge with Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
A lot of rain out there this morning. Going to continue for probably the next, 36 hours. And then we'll have some nice drier weather and some better weather on the way. We have a lot to get to. Don Leibel coming up in a few minutes on his belief that we could do another, and I like the thought of this, do another Hall of Fame game that includes Major League Baseball. What do you think of the possibility of that?
Are you talking an actual game that would be played by the major leaguers?
Like it used to be.
Interesting. Wasn't it always? I remember it causing some stress.
He's lobbying for it.
Okay.
Well, I think the players' union pushed to get rid of it.
Yeah. Well,
or maybe it was the teams that pushed to get rid of it.
Yeah. I know there was an issue with, obviously, you essentially had two teams going from basically midseason mode to exhibition mode for a game at a small park.
What is interesting is if you were to take someone who has never been here before, but has been here for the last 10 years, let's say, and they're big Major League Baseball fans, and you were to tell them, you're not going to believe this, but Major League Baseball used to pick two teams, send them to Cooperstown in the middle of the season. Mm-hmm. The starters would usually, it was an exhibition game, the starters would usually play the first two innings, and then basically a few would straggle in there, and then minor leaguers would come in. And it was like the Yankees versus the Orioles or something like that. They'd say that's impossible. Can't believe it. Major League Baseball would never allow that. So we'll get Don's take on it coming up, and he has a piece up on our website right now at WIBX950.com, and you can check that out. Tanya Powers on the latest in the wildfires, and of course, 20 counts, 20 people indicted, or 19 people. We'll get to the whole story here this morning on Trump, but it's hard to keep track anymore, right? I believe the number is 90. He's facing 90 charges if you compile all of the indictments together. This one, though, is problematic. It really is, because they have evidence of people. They have evidence of a strategy, at least they claim. We'll see. They have to prove what they say they have. And they have people who are serving as fake electors, people trying to basically change the outcome of the Georgia election. That's their claim. Will they be able to prove it?
Well, it'll be interesting to see.
And there are several, including Rudy Giuliani, named or indicted in this case. So we'll speak with Ryan Schmelz on that. He says it's just a waiting game now for the former president. A waiting game, I guess that was written yesterday. So he will not talk about a waiting game because nobody expected, I guess, for the indictments to come down last night. And they did at around 9 o'clock. So Schmelz will be talking about that indictment, and we'll speak to him just after the 7 o'clock hour. You just heard a little while ago DA Scott McNamara and talking about, there was a heated discussion.
It was.
Talking about this Cameron Decker, who is an online pred catcher. Is that what we call it? Online predator.
Predo, yeah. I don't know what you want to.
He'll respond. He says there's no monetization of his channel.
Yeah, I had a chance to speak with him briefly.
I guess I would have to ask him, how are you making any money?
Right.
How are you being able to travel around the country?
Right.
Unless he's independently wealthy, how do you get the gas to put into your car? We'll speak with him. He does want to respond to the DA. We'll deal with that this morning and much more. Hobica's free money question this morning goes to $200. Chance for you to win $200 from the Hobica Law Firm.
So the situation with Decker, he did say to me yesterday that he is still working with DAs in other counties. He hopes to work with Oneida County in the future. I did talk to him. I want to get his reaction on what the district attorney was describing essentially as what could be considered entrapment, engaging in a conversation, then later saying, oh, by the way, I'm a ex-teenage boy, 15, 13, whatever the age might be. We'll get his reaction to that as well, because I do think that creates an issue. There's a difference between somebody engaging in a conversation and then saying later, I like this, or I'm a particular age, versus someone who whose profile looks like they're a 15-year-old or a 13-year-old, and somebody reaching out to them and approaching them for a meetup or some type of sexual encounter.
The only thing I've kind of reached a point on this, and it really has nothing to do with McNamara, but hearing him, I think, played a role. And they have the right to do it. I get it, but at this point, I'm pretty uncomfortable with it. I just feel like the people who are doing this, police officers, and I'm not one of these where you have to be a trained journalist in order to write a blog. I'm not for this this anybody being able to write a blog or write a news story. That's not me at all. But in this case, I do feel like I would want, if I have a nuclear submarine, I want the people working on it to be highly trained. If I have people, I don't know, working on my furnace at my house, I want to know that they're trained and they know what they're doing. And I think in a situation like this, I would rather, I'm uncomfortable with somebody not being trained. You're not trained to do this. Any of these shows they're all out there. They're up. You can see them all up on YouTube. So I'm not necessarily, I hate to say, but I kind of fall on the side of, even though they may expose some of these people, they may be exposing people who are not pedophiles, and wrongfully portraying them as pedophiles. And there may be somebody at some point that pulls out a gun and somebody gets shot. I'm not comfortable with it. But we'll speak with him about that. I know he disagrees with me.
There is an element here, because when you're not, obviously when you're posing as somebody else, the actual crime doesn't become committed in this particular case, right? You're trying to gauge somebody's intent to meet up with somebody in a parking lot, or things they say over over a chat, over a discussion. That kind of falls into, I think, partially into freedom of speech. But again, you're trying to gauge the intent when the actual victim isn't a teenage person. You try, right?
Yeah, a few of the ways that the DA talked about some of these scenarios, it is discomforting when you think about it. Like an adult male online on a dating site trying to create and start up a conversation or pick up, whatever you want to say, another adult male, and then to find out in the middle of the whole thing when they're getting ready to meet that it's actually a 13-year-old male, and then they realize it's not a 13-year-old male, but it's Cameron Decker, who's got a camera in your face claiming that you were coming out to meet a 13-year-old male. And he'll say, no, we make it very, very clear. But again, it's cloudy for me, but we'll speak with him in the 7 o'clock hour.
Right.
And get into that. Also this morning, Dr. Hall is on, and we're getting more this morning on the new COVID vaccine. And we talked to him about this last week, and it was still unclear what was the plan was still a vaccine, but there seems to be a less of a push, because the vaccines are where they were highly sought after. In fact, we were in a meeting yesterday where corporate was in town, And one of our chief officers here at Town Square Media said he traveled all the way from the city up to Utica to be able to get a vaccine because there were no availabilities anywhere in the state. Remember when it was like that?
Yeah.
It was like, and I played the role of one of those guys on the computer. I was getting people appointments. Quickly, send me your Social Security number. All I need is that and your address, and I'll get you in somewhere. And I just sat on the computer getting people landed into vaccine spots. And that was, of course, before the vaccine became bad, right? That was back during Trump, I think, right? Was the vaccine available during Trump? I forget. Or did he just create it, and then we didn't like it after he left office, and Biden came in and took credit for it? It just became so political. It's a whole blur.
Funny.
I don't even remember what happened back then. But I did get the vaccine. The question is going to be, are we going to get the vaccine in the fall? And Don, if you're listening, try it again. I'll see it this time. Are you going to get the vaccine in the fall? What are you going to? Because they're now pushing a new vaccine right now, and it looks like it's going to be going after 2 different variants of COVID-19 or COVID, whatever we're in now.
Jeez.
Will you get it?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
I kind of feel like I'm leaning in the direction that I will, and let's see where we all land on this and see where Dr. Hall stands on it going forward. We'll speak to him in the 7 o'clock hour as well. All right, I'll talk to Don Leibel in a second. Hold on tight. We'll come right back. It's 6:30, and it's Tuesday morning on WIBX.
Go green, they say. But how? Start with your biggest investment, your home. Invest in the future with a new water furnace geothermal heating and cooling system by City Suburban. We at City Suburban have converted hundreds of customers to green energy to heat and cool their home. And we can do the same for you. Now is the best time with the New York State Clean Heat Energy Program, where you can save up to $12,000 while funds are available on your water furnace geothermal system, plus a 30% federal tax credit. They say go green. We say go Geo.
Hi, this is Chris from City Suburban. There's never been a better time than ever to go green. With the New York State Clean Heat Energy rebates and federal tax credit, you can save thousands on the installation, plus save for years to come on energy costs. And like always, every installation comes with City Suburban's POMG. That's peace of mind guaranteed. Call us today at 853-3899. That's 853-3899. Or visit us at citysuburban.com for more information.
There are more identity threats than you realize. Even if you monitor your credit, only a little personal info needs to leak out, like your social security number or password.
Or you to become a victim.
LifeLock alerts you to threats you could miss. If your identity is stolen, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS. Go to LifeLock.com.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
Before we get into Don, Mike this morning saying, listen, if they can play in that cornfield where they filmed Field of Dreams, why couldn't they play at the home of baseball? Was that a real game or was that an exhibition game?
No, that was a real game.
Yeah, why couldn't you do that and rebuild the stadium in Cooperstown? Or is the stadium not large enough? Let's bring in the guy who actually grew up in Cooperstown by way of Queens, was it, Don? Brooklyn? Where did you originally grow up?
Well, whatever's convenient for the conversation. That's where I'm from.
Okay, all right. All right. Later on, Don will be from Hawaii. We're going to get an expert opinion on the terrible things that are going on out there. All right. So you did grow up in the Cooperstown area.
Yeah, I moved my senior year in high school to the Cooperstown area.
So what are your thoughts?
You know, it's a no-brainer. I think Rob Manfred has been trying to grow the brand of Major League Baseball. By again, this year they're going to, or next year they're going to South Korea. They've been to Mexico. They're going next year. The Mets will be playing in London. Mm-hmm. They play a game now every year at in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, home of Little League, and they really emphasize the players sitting with the little leaguers and their families at that game. So I thought, well, when I want to come to Cooperstown, and they should, because they stopped the annual Hall of Fame exhibition game because the players union said, well, the guys don't want to give up the extra day off, and blah, 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 which was just awful. And I remember being there in 2008. In fact, I was there covering the game for you, and Greg Maddox, who at the time was at the tail end of his career, is pitching for the Padres. He was in Cooperstown. And I asked him about that, and that was his answer. He says the players didn't want to give up an extra day off, which I thought was a horrible thing. But so they played the exhibition game there. Well, Cooperstown, obviously, at Doubleday Field has had a wonderful upgrade from seating to they finally have a clubhouse there now. And that was the talk because each time the players would come there for a game, even now for the Hall of Fame Classic exhibition game that they have each year, they used to change at the Clark Sports Center and then bus down to the ball field.
Okay.
Well, now that they have a beautiful facility there, there's no excuse. The players could change there, and we're better than. And Manfred knows this from being from the area. We're better than to have a game. Okay, let's emphasize the history of the game. We're right in Cooperstown, and the cameras will have a field day shooting B-roll at the Hall of Fame down Main Street, and they also have reconfigured the parking lot in Cooperstown where the ballpark is. And if somebody says, "Well, the distance is not far enough," listen, they've made adjustments. They have sunk so much money into these venues when they go there that if you want to do it, there has to be a way that you can figure it out. Because look, they built a whole stadium at Camp Lejeune when they played a game there for the military. They can do something to say, okay, we must and we want to go into
we can make it work. Yeah.
What are we going to do? How do we do it?
And I got to say, since the Hall of Fame game has turned into more of the like an old timers game, it does not have the luster that it used to have. It doesn't have the excitement. It certainly doesn't bring out the crowds.
They try their best. The Major League Players Alumni Association, they put out the call like, okay, we got the game coming. Who wants to do it? And so they really try and do their very best for that. But a regular season game would be perfect, and it would fit into their outlook as far as our history of the game.
Yep.
Because, again, when you look at the game they do in Williamsport, the crowd is mainly just the little leaguers and their families. That's it. It's not a big crowd. It's not a money maker for them, but it's what they want to project. Mm-hmm. They've had games in honor of Martin Luther King. There's always a theme to it. How can you not come to Cooperstown and have a game there? Again, if you want to reconfigure the stadium for that game, and I'm sure, even with all the upgrades that Doubleday Field has had, and they've done a marvelous job, there's a way that they can figure out, we'll pull the fences back a little, or we'll do something.
Yeah.
But it's a no-brainer. They need to come to Cooperstown.
And that, by the way, you can read Don's column on this issue, which is proposing the issue. And, if there was ever a time, it's when the commissioner of baseball is actually from the region. Boy, he's from Rome, right? It would be a perfect time, but you can read about it on our website at WIBX950.com and ask you.
Unfortunately, I believe we lost the game, though, under his tenure. I mean,
yeah.
So, look, Don, I don't disagree with you in that I want to see the game come up here, but there's a couple of things I think that would need to be adjusted. First of all, there is an issue with, especially when teams tend to play at least 3-game series. Occasionally you'll get a 2-game series, but you have teams. One year might be Oakland, one year might be Texas. You might get a Chicago or a Florida team that they have to kind of disrupt their schedule to fly into upstate New York. There's not what's the closest
Utica.
airport? As you
when they've played in the past, they've flown into Utica, and they've busted from Utica.
Right. So you've got, I don't know, give or take an hour bus ride. There becomes an issue with a major inconvenience in trying to get all the players up there for one game. The second part of this, and I almost think it's more important, it's got to be a game that counts, like they do with the Cornfield game. I think they have to make that game count.
That's what Don's saying. The game has got to be a regular season game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This whole thing where they disrupt everybody, and then the starters play for 2 innings, and then you get to drive to upstate New York and watch a couple of guys who are double-A ball players who you never heard of before because we don't want the real players to get hurt.
Game.
Yeah.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying. That's why they would have to make it a game that counted.
But what you're proposing, Don, correct me if I'm wrong, is a real game. It'd be a game that counts.
Exactly. And also, on your point about, maybe the inconvenience, are they saying that when they set up a game for Williamsport, Pennsylvania, or when they were at Camp Lejeune?
Right.
No, that's what you do, because the idea is not the inconvenience, it's the theme. This is what we're honoring, and this is unfortunately this is how we do it. But again, when they go to Williamsport, there's no big league clubs there.
No, right, but do those games count?
Yes. It's a regular season. All these are regular season games.
Yeah, even the game at the if they build it, they will count. Whatever that saying was.
Yes.
Well, right. The cornfield games, and I know they pour a bunch of money.
Exactly, it's a real game. In fact, they're not having it this year. They've had it last 2 years because they're doing renovations of Frank Thomas, the Hall of Famer, is one of the people. His group bought that facility, and they're doing upgrades this year. But they plan on going back there again next year.
Wow. Well,
that's
listen,
in the middle of nowhere, too.
Right. And, boy.
Well, you say it's in the middle of nowhere, but those are, I don't know, I think those are bigger metropolitan areas than.
Dyersville, Iowa is, as I understand it, they describe it to me as like going to Cooperstown. It's like a 2-hour ride from a major airport.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Don. Jeff's going to continue to try to poke holes in your theory here.
I just don't look. I don't want to make it seem like I don't want it to happen. I just don't think it's going to happen. I just don't think they're going to do that. We had it and we lost it. Getting it back is a
but here's the thing. You're not talking about the turning stone when they had PGA golf. Getting it back is going to be tough. You're talking about the National Baseball Hall of Fame. It's a little different here, and there are already huge ceremonies going on every year. So I think if there was a step to be, the step's already been taken to be able to bring it back. You're right. It's hard once you lose something to get it back. But Jeff, could you grab that, please? It's hard to lose something, Don. It's hard to gain something back once you lose it. But at the same time, the stage is set. If anywhere, the stage is set in Cooperstown.
And we have a different commissioner now than we had back in 2008.
Okay, that was the question. Jeff thought that we lost the Hall of Fame game under Manfred's watch. You're saying that's not true?
Well, I don't remember offhand right now what year he came in, but that was 2008.
Right.
This is 2023.
Right,
And
okay.
I said next year they're going to South Korea. The Mets will be playing in London.
Yeah.
How do you not come to the very roots of your game, the Hall of Fame?
Yep. I agree. I like the proposal. Let's see what comes of it. And usually about every year we get Manfred on. So we'll propose this as well. And then your story, of course, is up there on our website at WIBX950.com. Roger has a comment here on this. Roger, what do you think?
I think it's a great idea, and I don't see why they can't have a series there. Yoda Saga can house those players.
You're right.
But once they get to Utica, and for a 1-hour drive, they have a 2-game series there. It would be great for baseball, be great for our area. I just don't see where the complications are.
Yeah, Don, what do you think about a 2-game series?
That'd be perfect. And also remember, here's also something that would be different. No lights at Doubleday Field, so we're going to have day baseball, back-to-back games, so that will make it easier for children to attend, families to attend, where the game doesn't start late at night, and they could do things, plan events around after the game as well. 2 games is perfect, and you know what? The players would love being there, so they could go into the Hall of Fame and have them sit with Hall of Famers as they have in Williamsport, where they sit with Little Leaguers. And when you put them with 50 or more Hall of Famers, if you put your mind to something, you could do it.
Yeah. All right. I like it. Roger, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Look, again, I hate
Okay,
to be
thank you. Have a good day.
And we will. I think what we should do is begin the campaign here for this to come back.
I hate to be the wet blanket because I'd love to see it happen, but now we're proposing a 2 games in the series, day games.
Listen,
This is like a pipe dream.
When I want to borrow $100 as a kid from my parents, I would always ask for 2. So you don't go in with 100 because you're gonna end up with 50.
Dear Rob Manfred, Cooperstown, New York needs a baseball team.
All right. Okay, Don, I love it. I'm with you. I am with you, Don, on this. 100%.
Hey,
Let's
listen,
begin the campaign.
My final comment is: you could put on 2 games in Mexico, 2 games in Australia, 2 games in South Korea, 2 games in London. You could put on 2 games in Cooperstown, New York.
The argument there, though, is to grow the game, expand the game. People in this area already love the game.
I think doing it at the Hall of Fame would be a great example of growing the game. I do. I just feel like it's building off your history, and why wouldn't you do that?
More than any of the 4 major sports in America, when it comes to history, baseball lives and dies with history.
Love it, Don. Thank you. And Jeff, I'm trying to let him have the last word. Will you please let him?
I'm not saying anything, but
right.
I'm all for it.
Okay, good. Leave it right there. Don,
it's not happening.
Your story is, he can't help himself. Your story is up on our website at WIBX950.com. Thank you, Don. I appreciate it greatly.
Bye-bye.
Great stuff. Mike says, unfortunately, at this point, the game at Cooperstown is just a place where old-timers get a chance to sell their autographs. And it is just that.
Where's my bell?
No, but he's not agreeing with you.
No, I know, but that's
what he's saying is that's what it is right now.
Right.
And if you were to bring a game back there, it would bring it back to even something greater than it used to be. So, Tanya?
Yes.
Tanya, Jay Power is on the line right now. You know, it's amazing how location plays a role in the world we live in. It happened in 9/11. People on the West Coast really didn't have the same feel that we did on the East Coast during 9/11, just because there's so much travel time in between. But it was still shocking for everyone in America. Same thing is happening here in Hawaii. As we're going on with our everyday business, these people have just been decimated. It is horrific, and every day it's worse. Tanya, good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, I've only got a couple minutes, but let me give you kind of the latest what's going on. The death toll there in the Maui wildfire disaster is at 99 at this point. This was as of late yesterday evening local time. At least 3 people who were killed in the wildfires have been identified at this point. They're starting to identify the victims. The names won't be released, obviously, until the families are informed and things like that. There is still a search going on for people who are still missing. They unfortunately expect that death toll number to go up. I was seeing reports that they have done search and recovery teams have covered about a quarter of Lahaina at this point. And like I said, there are still people who are missing. The recovery cost, Moody's is putting the analysis at about $7 billion for the recovery, the economic cost of the wildfires and things like that. The containment of the fire, it's about 85% contained as of late yesterday evening, according to fire officials there. Remember, even if it's contained, it's not extinguished. That means it's contained. Mm-hmm. There's a perimeter. Now, the perimeter, according to the Maui County Fire Chief, says it appears to be cooling. It's not expanding further. There are other fires. That's the one that tore through Lahaina. Yeah. Now, there are other fires that are still, in need of a lot of attention. The National Guard is on standby. Other teams are also on standby. The fire department also plans to fly over Lahaina today to see if there are any hot spots around the edges. As far as federal help goes, there's about more than 3,000 people in Maui have already registered for various sorts of federal help. That number is expected to get a lot larger. The aid that they've already started distributing from FEMA includes $700 one-time payments for things that, like real basic stuff like water, medical supplies. Lodging is being paid for by FEMA. The Biden administration and the Hawaiian government have also launched a transitional shelter assistance program for people who, were displaced. Yeah. That would get them into hotels, motels, things like that. The Biden administration is also putting a supplemental funding request into Congress for $12 billion more in additional funds for the disaster relief fund, so it can go to recovery projects, things like that. Weather it does not look like Mother Nature is going to give them any rain today to help out with anything. It's going to be, I think, sunny in the 80s. No chance of rain, I believe, in Maui until maybe the weekend.
I think there's another hurricane headed that way, but they say it's not going to bring much, and it's going to dissipate by the time it gets there. So,
it's Tropical Storm Greg passing well to the south of Hawaii. It looks like there's not going to be a lot of effects from that. There's not any fire-related hazards in effect at this point because of that.
Boy, we've never seen in modern times anything spread like this thing spread, and the human the toll. It's just unbelievable. Tanya, I know you got to go. Thank you for the time. Have a great day. Thank you. All right, Tanya. Jay Powers from Fox News. So we had talked about the other day about where this fire actually started, but it was there on the island. There was a brush fire, and the authorities they thought they had it under control. In fact, in the morning, it was announced that there was no alert. The fire was under control. And then the winds came in, and it began to spread. And I saw firefighters talking about this, but it was just incredible. They kept getting call after call. There's another fire here. There's another fire here. It just got to be so much out of control that they not only lost control, they just couldn't handle it. And but it started as a brush fire. And there are some of those fires that are, as Tanya said, still burning right now, but they have them contained. It was the winds that came in from that hurricane to the south, that winds gusting up over 70 miles an hour. Those winds seem to fan the flames, just like you'd blow underneath a campfire. It's exactly what happened. Yeah, it's just terrible.
It is terrible.
Just like we've never seen before. I mean, I can't even imagine. Now, there was some controversy where Oprah Winfrey was involved. Did you see this?
About this fire?
Yeah. She reportedly was in Maui and was denied. It was reported that she was denied entry into a Maui shelter where wildfire survivors were seeking refuge. But officials on the island are saying that's not true. I don't know where this story came from. The reports that Oprah showed up to the War Memorial Gymnasium there last week with a CBS News crew, but was turned away and wasn't allowed in until she told the camera ops to wait outside. The county of Maui explained Sunday on Facebook to clarify Oprah was able to visit our shelter, and we thank her for instructing media journalists and camera crews to remain outside. They required that they stay outside. In other words, Oprah wasn't singled out. She merely got the same treatment as all media was as they were showing up in the shelters.
Well, I think that's a good thing.
So she was able to use her cell phone to still be able to get stuff out. But, it was more of a... I will tell you that if you're a 65-year-old woman, and maybe man too, but a 65-year-old woman, and all of a sudden Oprah comes up and hands you a blanket, that would probably brighten up that woman's day. And then especially if she followed up by saying, you get a car and you get a car.
Well, certainly if they followed it up.
I don't think she'd
say you get a new house, because we're watching yours burn across the street over there.
It's just awful. Yeah. But they were not allowing news cameras inside, and I got to tell you something. I appreciate that.
Yeah, so do I.
I
completely agree.
It is to the point where we kind of sensationalize everything.
I know.
And the fact that they stood up and said no cameras inside, even if you are Oprah. Oprah, you can come in, but you got to leave the cameras outside. I'm okay.
I feel like they made an exception because if you went over there with a camera crew, they wouldn't be like, "Hey, Keeler, you can come on in."
Right.
They'd have you standing outside.
You're right. I wouldn't. Right. We wouldn't be allowed.
No.
But it's Oprah. It's Oprah. Cut.com, and I selected this perfectly for you, Jeff. Cut.com asked 100 people what their unpopular opinion is. What is your unpopular opinion?
I have several. What do you want to
That's my point. I mean, you oftentimes have I don't want to say a devil's advocate approach, but everybody's all in agreement. It's like, yep, we're going to McDonald's. And all of a sudden, Jeff is the lone one in the back that says, no, we're going to Burger King. That is a cheap example, but so what is your unpopular
Well, I mean, this
opinion.
morning, this bringing the baseball game back to Cooperstown, it's not happening, folks. I'm sorry.
Well,
I think it would be a good thing, a great thing, but it's just not happening logistically.
And I really disagree with you on that. I really do. I'm with Don. I'm with Roger. I'm with Mike, who piped in on the thing. I do think it would be a great moment for baseball.
Pause. When you say you're with them and essentially you're against me, I'm not saying I don't want it to happen.
I'm not saying no.
You're telling me
you're misunderstanding me. You're
misunderstanding me.
No, I'm not. Let me see if I am. And you tell me. You're not saying you don't want it to happen. You're saying it's never going to happen because it's not feasible. And I am disagreeing with you. I do believe it's feasible, and I do think it could happen. And I wouldn't have thought it could happen unless I didn't realize they played that game out in the cornfield. I didn't realize they were playing games at Camp Lejeune. I didn't realize they were basically building up stadiums to allow a regular season Major League Baseball game to be played, and they're doing it overseas as well. I get it. That expands the game of baseball. But I feel like playing out in a cornfield just because it was a movie 40 years ago does not necessarily expand the game of baseball. Whereas bringing the game back to Cooperstown and making it a real game, I feel like that would be good for baseball and is feasible.
So I think it would be good for baseball too. I just don't think it's going to happen again. You have this. I just don't see it happening. I hope it does.
So they did a supercut of all of the best unpopular opinions. By the way, none of the unpopular opinions had anything to do with bringing the game back to Cooperstown.
No, this is probably political stuff, right?
This is more of a national thing. Okay. Some of the big ones were birth control is bad, dating apps are bad, Taylor Swift is bad. That was really unpopular. Here are a few of the best, understand the oxymoron here. Here are a few of the best bad unpopular opinions. Here we go. Here it is.
Oh.
I hate Taylor Swift at the end. But by the way, the rectangular garbage can. I used to back in the. I was working at 4 different radio stations when I was 18 years old. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I also was working at McDonald's. There might have been 3 radio stations and McDonald's. So I went to my boss and said, hey, I got too much going on. I need to reduce my hours. And he said, well, why don't I bring you in every Saturday morning? You can clean up the parking lot. Make sure the garbages are all set.
Oh, thanks.
So I'm like, okay, I'm all for that. I'd get a good 8 hours in. And literally, this guy was a fanatic at McDonald's in Herkimer. Back in the 80s, I had to take a putty knife and scrape gum off the blacktop. I mean, that McDonald's was spotless, inside and out. Anyway, their garbage cans were always rectangular, almost square, in fact.
Yeah.
And in our cupboard, we have a garbage can that is kind of rectangular but almost square. And I think that is not a very unpopular opinion. I like that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. The one I did note is I'm for gun rights. It is very interesting that as you get into more rural areas, people really care about the Second Amendment and gun rights.
Yeah.
Middle America really cares. But as you get towards the cities, they don't have that same opinion. It's very, very interesting. And in New York, especially right here in Remington country, I think it changes as you travel further away from here.
Yeah.
That's where the debate continues on. And especially if you go to a city where there was a mass shooting, they want gun control.
Yeah.
It is very interesting to look at that. But those are just some of the... My favorite, of course, is Taylor Swift. I don't like Taylor Swift. Everybody likes Taylor Swift. How could you come up with that? But
That's why it's so unpopular.
The full list of unpopular opinions, see where you are on your opinion. Maybe your opinion isn't unpopular after all. You can find it at cut.com. All right. We're going to get the latest on the indictment of the former president with Ryan Schmelz coming up in a little bit. Manaski has news happening as well. Here we are on a Tuesday morning. Dr. Hall coming up this hour. It'll be interesting to get Cameron Decker's take on the DA. There's also a story up on our website on that, as I just kind of paraphrase what happened yesterday, and we'll include Decker's opinion here today. And it's all coming up with Hobica's free money question next hour.
Hi, this is Bill Cole from Gates Cole Insurance with exciting news. We are expanding with a couple of new offices in our area. One new location is North Country Estates Insurance in Lowville. They are another independent insurance agency that takes pride in making customers happy and fits our culture at Gates Cole perfectly. Here is William Schaub from the newest Gates Cole agency, North Country Estates Insurance in Lowville.
Working with us as an independent agent with this many companies, we will often call our clients and say, we're going to reduce your premium if you like. We have the companies that do well in New York and specifically this area. The coverages that we provide are commercial and personal insurance. That's the home, the auto, ATV, motorcycle. There's nothing more fun than taking care of a customer and being able to tell them that we're able to save them some money.
Proudly representing Finger Lakes Fire and Casualty Company of Trumansburg, New York. Gates Cole Insurance. We'll take care of you.
From the Stanley Theater Studio, WIBX 950 Utica Rome, W295DI Utica Rome, your news, talk, and sports leader, a Town Square media station.
Witch hunt continues. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Former President Trump posted that on Truth Social early this morning, hours after his fourth indictment, this time in Georgia, by a district attorney he calls out of control, corrupt, and out to get him. Fulton County DA Fonnie Willis, who alleges
a criminal conspiracy to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election in this state.
But it's not just the former president being accused.
19 people were charged in this indictment, including 41 felony counts, of course, against the former president, Donald Trump, and many of his associates, notable including Rudy Giuliani and Mark Meadows. Every single person was charged with one count of the RICO Act here in Georgia. That's a racketeering charge, and the district attorney said that there is a minimum sentence attached to those charges. It is not something that you can get probation for.
Fox's Matt Finn in Fulton County, the former president and the 18 others have until next Friday to face the charges in court. Here's Fox's Brooke Singman.
I did speak exclusively with the former president last night, who says his fourth indictment comes during a dark period for our country, but he won't let it stop him. Now, President Trump told me, quote, this politically inspired indictment, which could have been brought close to 3 years ago, was tailored for placement right smack in the middle of my political campaign, where I am leading all Republicans.
In a joint statement, the Democratic leaders of the House and Senate say no one's above the law, and the fourth Trump indictment shows a repeated pattern of criminal activity. In Hawaii, crews keep looking for more victims in the ashes of the burnt-out town of Lahaina. It's expected they'll find more. 99 confirmed dead.
According to officials, about a quarter of the burnt-out area has now been searched, and identifying the dead has been difficult. Only 3 of the 99 people that have been found have been able to be identified with fingerprints. People here on the island are being encouraged to give DNA swabs to help identify loved ones.
Fox Weather's Max Gordon in Maui. America's listening to Fox News.
Major phone carriers make you sign contracts with rigid data plans to trap you into a kind of forced phonogamy. Sounds pretty insecure if you ask me. At Consumer Cellular, we believe in a more consensual and healthy form of phonogamy, free of contracts and more flexible to your data needs. This way, you stick around not because we force you to with contracts and fees, but because you love our phone plans. Like ardently love our phone plans. Phonogamously. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
So far, no reaction from President Biden on the fourth Trump indictment related to the 2020 election results in Georgia. Now, today, the president will travel to Wisconsin to tout the climate change-related law Democrats passed a year ago. We're learning more about someone who was a threat to the president, killed in an FBI raid in Utah.
The FBI says Craig Robertson, a 75-year-old Air Force veteran, resisted arrest and pointed a .357 revolver at agents before they shot him. Agents had gone to Robertson's home to take him into custody last Wednesday ahead of Biden's visit to Utah for 3 felonies, including making threats against the president. No agents were injured during the incident. The shooting is under review by the FBI. Tom Rigotti, Fox News.
Russia fired more missiles at Ukraine last night, targeting western areas like Lviv, killing at least 3 people, injuring dozens of others. Unrelated to the war, a massive explosion at a gas station in southern Russia killed 35 people. It was triggered by a fire at a repair shop that spread to the gas tanks. A music legend has died.
Clarence Avant was 92 when he passed away at his home in Los Angeles. His influence was felt in the world of music, sports, politics, and entertainment. Avant discovered and signed singer Bill Withers in the 70s. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. And co-promoted Michael Jackson's first solo world tour in the 80s. Clarence Avant also mentored the career of professional boxer Muhammad Ali. And in the 90s, he served as Motown's chairman of the board. Home run record breaker Hank Aaron sang in the 2019 Netflix documentary film called The Black Godfather, "Without Clarence Avant, there is no Hank Aaron." In 2021, Avant was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Monica DeLuca, Fox News.
We'll get an update on the economy this morning, a check of retail sales last month. On Wall Street, before that, stock futures down more than 200 for the Dow the day after gains. I'm Dave Anthony, and this is Fox News.
We have mostly cloudy skies, 64 degrees. WIBX News Time, 7:05. This news update is brought to you by Cliff's Local Market. They keep you going. The Oneida County Sheriff's Office releasing the name of the woman who was tragically killed in a crash over the weekend. 75-year-old Diane Schaefer was driving on Seneca Turnpike in New Hartford Sunday when she struck another vehicle which was making a U-turn. Schaefer was taken to a nearby hospital, but later passed away. No tickets have been issued in connection with the accident. Monroe's County Executive Adam Bello is asking for the National Guard to come to his county because of ongoing concerns about asylum seekers. In Erie County, 2 migrants were recently arrested for allegedly sexually assaulting women in separate incidents at hotels in Cheektowaga. In Monroe County, all emergency housing plans must be approved by the Department of Human Services before asylum seekers can arrive. But despite that policy, Bello is still requesting additional security in that area. Meanwhile, a Spencerport teacher arrested on child pornography charges has made an appearance in federal court. Prosecutors say 37-year-old Ian Millam posed as a high school student and sent explicit videos to at least one person. He is a 6th grade math teacher at Cosgrove Middle School. The FBI asking anyone who may have had contact with him to reach out to them. The Department of Environmental Conservation releasing details about a woman being followed by a bear in the Windham Blackhead Range Wilderness. Now, this happened near Maple Crest, New York. The report states that on August 4th, a 23-year-old Canadian backpacker told Greene County Dispatch that the animal was following her near North Point after dropping the backpack, thinking the animal was after some food inside. A forest ranger was able to locate the human and bear, and they say they were able to scare the bear off from the backpack. The animal then returned to the wilderness and did not reappear or follow the woman or the forest ranger. And the beginning of the New York State Fair is just over a week away, and work has started on creating the annual butter sculpture. Artists are now using hundreds of pounds of butter to create a sculpture that'll be located in the Dairy Building. The theme of the sculpture will remain a secret until it's revealed next week. Once the sculpture is no longer needed, it is recycled and turned into renewable energy. WIBX News Time is coming up on 7:08, expecting rain showers today. Here's what we can expect from Eyewitness News.
I'm Eyewitness News Chief Meteorologist Craig Flint at the WIBX Weather Center. Today, breezy, quite a few clouds, rain and thundery downpours mainly in the morning. Rain tapers to scattered showers by afternoon and evening. High of 72. Tonight, cloudy areas of drizzle or patchy fog, a low of 64. Tomorrow, early leftover shower or sprinkle. Then warmer in the afternoon with increasing sunshine, high of 78. For more on your local forecast, tune to Eyewitness News at 6 on WTR. I'm meteorologist Craig Flint on WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM.
Right now, cloudy skies, maybe a few raindrops, and 64 degrees. WIBX News Time is 7:08. All right, checking sports. The Mets have won back-to-back games, taking down the Pirates yesterday 7-2 in Flushing. Tyson Miller earned a victory after pitching a couple of innings in relief without allowing a run. Daniel Vogelbach went deep for the Mets, as did Brandon Nimmo. They continue their series with the Pirates tonight. The Yankees dropped their opener against the Braves last night, 11-3, ended up being the final. Clark Schmidt took the loss. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa led the way at the plate, going 3 for 4 with an RBI. The Yankees dropped to 60-59 now. They are still last in the American League East. And the Jets are adding another star to their offense. Free agent running back Dalvin Cook agreeing to a one-year contract worth up to $8.5 million with the Jets. According to Pro Football Talk, the deal has a $7 million base with up to $1.6 million in incentives. The Vikings released Cook in June for contract reasons. The 28-year-old has nearly 6,000 yards on the ground and 47 touchdowns over 73 career games. WIBX News Time coming up on 7:10. Stay tuned. Another busy hour ahead. And your phone calls and comments as well. It's First News Keeler in the morning on WIBX 950 AM and 106.9 FM.
Need a bed? Get a giant 85-inch flat screen TV or a beautiful Weber stainless steel grill at Mattress Express's grand opening of their newest superstore, New Hartford, Commercial Drive 4488, next to Pet Supplies Plus. Stop in, open 7 days a week.
Cliff's Local Market is now hiring.
As a locally owned, growing family business, there's a lot of opportunity for me to progress in my career here. And it feels like I'm a part of a big family.
I'm so glad I joined the Cliffs team. The benefits are great too. I can even get dental and vision as a part-time employee. But I really like the employee meal discount.
Seeing one of my local customers each day and being able to put a smile on their face is what I most enjoy about working at Cliffs.
Come join our team.
Apply at cliffslocalmarket.com/careers.
If we've learned anything from recent news, it's that unexpected things are happening. Your gut tells you there's something very wrong going on, and all the evidence suggests that there is. Government emails are hacked. There's talk of how to fight World War III, and trade of grains and food are being disrupted. Those in charge say everything's fine. Stop noticing, but you know better. It's time to invest in self-reliance and emergency food storage now, more than ever. My Patriot Supply, the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, is the place you can trust. Go to mypatriotsupply.com and secure their best-selling 3-month emergency food kits. Each contains tasty breakfasts, lunch, and dinners, averaging over 2,000 calories per day. Get at least one food kit for each family member. For a limited time, save 25%, plus get free shipping on all their 3-month emergency food kits. Go to mypatriotsupply.com today. It's time to prepare for what's coming. mypatriotsupply.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Do you feel like your current checking account just isn't working for you anymore? Maybe monthly fees are cutting into your already tight budget. Or maybe you're looking for more convenience with additional bells and whistles that allow you to accomplish more with less work. Whatever your reason, it might be a great time for you to check out the lineup of accounts at Adirondack Bank. From no-frills basic accounts to paperless high-yield accounts, we're sure to have the perfect solution for your needs. We also offer a large selection of extras such as customizable debit cards, electronic statements, online banking and bill pay, mobile banking, and mobile deposit. We also have a great client services team ready to answer your questions with our live chat. Visit our website at www.adkbank.com. Use the checking comparison tool and see which options are best for you. That's adkbank.com. Member FDIC.
Hey, River Hills Properties is the fastest growing real estate company in the area. 15 years ago when they started, it was just one agent. Today, there are over 30 working with the philosophy of Bill and Robin Monjo at River Hills Properties. And back then, just one. No one knew their name. Today, it is the number one real estate agency in the region, locally owned and operated. If you include the chains, they're number two, just behind. It's River Hills, and it's the River Hills way that changed everything. It's the extra things they do for people when they're selling their home. It helps relieve the stress. It helps the sale go through. It relieves stress for a potential buyer because they're always there to answer questions, and they're with the seller from beginning till the very, very end. That is the River Hills way. You know, your listing agent is there every time the house is shown. That's a big deal. It's River Hills Properties. Call them today, 315-896-1009. If you're selling your home, call River Hills, 315-896-1009. And portions of the program today brought to you by Mazda. Steep Ponte Mazda, Commercial Drive in Yorkville. Ricky Z is back with the Move to Mazda sales event. 2.9% APR financing, up to 36 months on new Mazda CX-30s, CX-5, CX-50s. Before you know it, the 2024s are going to be coming around. Enjoy 0% APR financing up to 36 months on new 2023 Mazda CX-9s. It's the Move to Mazda sales event. Rick has a different way of selling cars. It's a different buying experience. The people over there love to work with you, and the Mazda is a popular brand right now. You see more and more on the roads every single day. The dealership that's achieved first place nationally in customer satisfaction, Steep Ponte Mazda, Commercial Drive in Yorkville.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
All right, so yesterday went through, and I kind of felt, Manaski, like, all right, well, there was a document that was released that showed the charges in the indictment against Trump, and then it popped up. Writers found it, and then it was taken down off a website. The prosecutor down there, the DA's office said, in Georgia, that was a mistake, and it wasn't us. It was a hacker or some imposter that put it up.
Okay.
But then about an hour and a half later, 2 hours later, the indictment came down just at around 9 o'clock, and it involved 19 people in total. On the line to give us the details on that is Ryan Schmelz with Fox News Radio. Ryan, what do we know going into today?
Hey, good morning, guys. So Fonnie Willis, the district attorney, was actually asked about this yesterday, but she didn't really, answer the question and didn't really have much to say on it. So certainly there's still that mystery of why this indictment allegedly leaked at the time it did, and then ultimately was dropped a few hours later. So that's certainly one of the mysteries we're kind of questioning going into today. But obviously, the indictment did drop, and we're looking at some significant charges against former President Trump and 18 other defendants in this case.
I kind of felt like here's my take on it, and you tell me what you think. Somebody mistakenly posted this. They had dealt with the grand jury during the day. The grand jury indicted. They put together the charges against Trump, and it got leaked. It was leaked. Then they brought it back down, and they're like, well, now that this has been done, let's just let's release the indictment. And by 9 o'clock, which I don't think anybody expected it last night, that's when it was handed down. That's my theory on how they were making up for the mistake. But I could be wrong. What do you think?
Yeah, it's hard to know. And until they ultimately give us some answers, we're not going to really know what happened in this case. But I think it is quite fascinating how late everything was going on last night. I've worked the overnight shift before when I was in local news, but to have this much stuff happening, after midnight or right before midnight was quite fascinating to see. A nationally televised press conference with a district attorney talking about a former president and 18 other defendants who are, facing substantial charges too. It's quite fascinating to see, especially with all this happening so late at night.
Now, I get it. Depending on where you are, there are people that are saying this is all, this is trumped. These charges are trumped up, if you will. It's fake news. On the other side, they can't wait to convict. But if you look at it on the surface, based on what happened after the election, and you look at these charges, these are serious accusations.
Yeah, they certainly are. They're charging him in pretty much trying to solicitate violation by oath by a public official, conspiracy to commit forgery in the first degree. There's a number of different charges here, and especially when it comes to that infamous phone call that kind of led to this indictment in the first place, which was between him as well as the Secretary of State of Georgia, where Trump allegedly told him to find enough votes to reverse the state's election results, and also an allegation in here where allegedly Trump's campaign team tried to tamper with some voting data in rural Georgia to increase the vote count for President Trump to potentially win the state. So there's a number of pretty severe allegations, but I think this is going to really come down to a free speech argument in determining whether or not President Trump had the right to contest the election results, or whether or not he ultimately was lying about something that tried to put pressure on public officials to violate their oath of office.
And listen, I have no legal degree or anything like that, but in my mind, I play an attorney. I got to say, I think the whole thing where he made the phone call can be explained away. He believed that there were 1,400, more than that. He believed, or 14,000 more, or whatever the number was. He believed that there were fraudulent votes and that he had actually won. I do believe that in that phone call, or at the very least, he can explain it that way. What gets problematic, I would think, is changing the data, pressuring electors, fake electors. Those are the things that, and I'm not sure that Trump gets charged with that, but I think those are really problematic.
Yeah, and I think it's all going to depend on it. Who's going to take the witness stand here? Who's going to speak? And who's going to reveal what information we know? And I think that testimony is really going to be valuable to determining if there, in fact, was pressure put on these elected officials to try to overturn the election results. We had, I believe, the lieutenant governor of Georgia, former lieutenant governor of Georgia, spoke to the grand jury before the indictment went down. So certainly he might be somebody who speaks and might give some valuable testimony. But also I think the Secretary of State is going to be a big player in this as well.
Yeah. All right. Very interesting stuff. Ryan, as always, we appreciate your time. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you.
Hey, you too, guys.
It's going to be, and I have a feeling it's going to be a busy one. So good luck with that. And away he goes. Nagel says, what's Nagel saying here this morning? Let's see. Can you read it? Because I don't have it. I've lost that.
Who had a worse night in Atlanta, Trump or the Yankees?
I got to say, the Mets have won 2 in a row. I'm still not back to saying we're going anywhere. I get it, but how do you lose so poorly to Atlanta on Friday and Saturday?
Yeah, they
just cannot believe it.
It's embarrassing.
21-3. Coming up, our free money question from the Habico Law Firm is worth $200 this morning. Chance for you to win $200. And I'll give you one more comment on the baseball thing. This is Joe out there. I couldn't agree more, Bill. My suggestion would be to fly into Rome, Griffiths, which can hold any size plane. There are enough teams in the East, both AL and NL, to fill 2 games or even a 3-game series with the division rivals where you don't have to disrupt league or schedules, and you could even have a weekend schedule. And you'd plan it where the 2 teams were maybe they play Cooperstown for the weekend, and then one goes to Baltimore and the other one goes to Philadelphia, right? I mean, so you could keep it all in. I'm really thinking we need to start a campaign to make this happen. So Don Leibel has a story up on our website you can check out about bringing the Hall of Fame game, a regular season game, which would be different than the previous Hall of Fame games, back to Cooperstown. Manaski is our naysayer of the day.
Yeah, I feel like we're swinging for the fences here, and we're going to be walking back to the dugout empty-handed.
And again, I'd be with you if they weren't playing out in a cornfield and playing at a military band and overseas and all of that stuff. Logistically today, I think it's possible. Who knows? All right, let's switch gears. I don't know if we are coming up on the Herkimer County Fair opens today, right? After that, we then will be moving. This is Dr. Hall, right? Okay, after that, we'll be moving on to the state fair, and then before you know it, it's back to school. And people will begin talking about the flu shot and possibly the COVID vaccine. So I'll go to Dr. Kent Hall right now with MVHS. Doc, good morning. And what do you think on the new vaccine? They're talking about it now.
Yeah, so I don't know if exciting is really the right word, but it is certainly, good news that we're honing in on what the new vaccine is going to be for COVID, and the expectations are that we're going to be suggesting. I don't know what mandates are going to come out for different populations, but certainly suggesting that vulnerable populations, or probably everybody, get this new updated vaccine. And by updated, I mean that it is targeted toward the Omicron variants and the subvariants, which is the ones that are circulating now, and even the new ones that we talk about. The ERAS and the other one are also Omicron variants, and so really it's just a matter of making sure that we get as many people protected as possible. Coming into the fall and to what you're talking about, where people are going to start to congregate together, whether it's outdoors at the fairs or whether it's indoors when we go back to school, and then obviously when the weather changes and when it gets colder, it's going to be very important that we get people protected, not only against COVID but against the flu. And potentially against RSV too. We had that big bump last year, and we want to make sure that we don't have that infamous trifecta again.
So it's interesting, the flu vaccine, the flu shot. We call it the flu shot. It's a vaccine, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So it's not like we're. It just amazes me how political this vaccine has become when we are, in many cases, for your kids to go to public school, they're required to get many vaccines, many shots before they go off to school. But this has, in this current political climate we live in, this vaccine has become very political.
No, that's very true, and it is also very unfortunate. But the reality is, to your point, we have required vaccines for kids to go to school, not only primary school and secondary school and high school, but also colleges. Require certain vaccines for kids to go to a college, and that hasn't been nearly as much of a controversial thing as what has happened with the COVID vaccine over the last 3 years.
I think there's a couple of reasons, especially nowadays. Knock on wood, but I mean, most people who get it a lot of times don't even know they have it now.
I guess
you get a flu shot every year.
I do. Yeah,
you do get a flu shot. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not typically a flu shot. I'm all for the other vaccines, though. I mean, we're talking polio and other things.
I'll tell you. Here's a good example, Doc, and I like your take on it because it was somewhat controversial early on. But there's going to come a point where chickenpox and shingles, I believe, will not exist because we are kids today to go to school. It's required now that they get a chickenpox vaccine.
Yeah, so that's a good and interesting point. So chickenpox is something that we have lived with for forever, literally, and it hasn't been something that has caused significant death. Obviously, it causes significant discomfort for the kids in the moment, and adults that get chickenpox actually are at much higher probability of getting severe disease, especially chickenpox pneumonia, which can be very severe and at times fatal. And so, developing a vaccine for that kind of a ubiquitous disease has been a long time coming. And honestly, it was a long time coming because when the kids got chickenpox, other than being out of school for a couple 3 weeks, really wasn't dangerous to them. But what we've learned over time is that the danger comes after the fact. It comes if adults get it, or it comes in the form of shingles, which can be quite debilitating for folks, and you can get shingles, encephalitis, which is an inflammation of the brain, which can obviously be very dangerous. So it is. We are in the mode of understanding what the long-term consequences are, and when it gets to a population, it becomes much more significant because the numbers, even though the percentage numbers may be small, the actual numbers can be very large. I think the political environment as it relates to COVID vaccine certainly, played a huge role in terms of, the resistance to it. But I think personally, I would say a lot of it stemmed from the fact that it was brand new and that the vaccine was developed much faster than other vaccines had been, and so there was a concern about the safety. And the reality is that now we know, because there have literally been millions and millions of people who have across the world who have been vaccinated against COVID, and the incidence of significant problems with it is negligible. It's not zero, but it's almost zero.
I assume, and I don't like to do this, and I don't like to go political, but I will. I assume you'll be voting for Robert Kennedy Jr. for president. Sorry,
I hold my vote very close to my chest.
All right, well, you're not going to reveal it, but I know that's who you're going to secretly vote for. Actually, I can't imagine you doing that. All right, I have Rob here, and he said the COVID vax doesn't prevent COVID. My daughter will never get the vaccine because of myocarditis side effects. Talk about those two statements.
So the vaccine, if People look at vaccines as all or none. They are completely effective, and nobody ever gets the disease that they're targeted against, or they are completely ineffective if one person that was vaccinated gets the disease. There is no vaccine that actually works in that way. The reality is that getting the vaccine stimulates your immune system so that it decreases the likelihood that you get the disease or get a severe aspect of the disease. That's what the COVID vaccine has always been targeted for, is to decrease the likelihood that people get severe disease, end up in the hospital, end up dying from it. And the data is very good. It's really excellent to show that it does work well. It does not work 100% of the time.
But isn't that how all vaccines work?
So, yes, that is the case. That all vaccines work to decrease the chance of people getting the disease, but it doesn't decrease it to zero. It never decreases it to zero because there are human factors related to it.
Well, we're seeing that with polio.
So that's what I would say about vaccines in general, about the COVID vaccine in particular. It's really no different than other vaccines in that regard. Related to things like inflammation, so myocarditis is an inflammation of the heart. So there are a very small number of people that will have inflammatory effects related to that seem to be related to the vaccine. I would say that they probably are related to the vaccine, and that these are people that should not get the vaccine. And if you have an issue with having gotten the vaccine and developed a myocarditis, I would strongly recommend you not get a second dose of it. Because we know that that's an issue for you as an individual. That's not a population. That is an N of 1.
So I keep, my father will say to me, stop sharing my medical information on the radio. Well, I have so much to say, though. And Doc, when you give me 3 hours to just basically talk, you never know what's going to come out. And I feel inspired to talk about this now, and this is it. So as we've talked about, my dad has gone through a terrible, whether it's a pinched nerve or a back problem, it was debilitating. He lost like 50 pounds. It got to the point where he couldn't walk at all. He's recovering now, finally recovering. And through strategic treatments and a multitude of different treatments, the pain, his back pain is gone, which is miraculous, right?
That's fantastic. Yes, that is absolutely fantastic.
3 weeks ago, he came down with shingles, and it was an extreme case. Not so bad that it's on the face. I mean, some people will get shingles and it's near their eyes. You can go blind from it, right? In his case, it was along the arms and shoulders, but and after the topical portion of it went away, the nerve pain exists still. It's like one hit after another. It's unbelievable. Shingles can be so debilitating as well. And talk about, if you could, the importance of making sure you get the shingles shot, number one. And number two, if you get shingles, does that mean you don't have to get the shingles vaccine?
So let me take the second one first, and the answer is pretty simple, and the answer is no. You should still get the shingles vaccine even if you have had shingles, because you get shingles more than once.
Okay, I didn't know that. All right.
So related to the debility from shingles, you are absolutely correct. Again, it is a spectrum. Some people get a mild case, quote unquote mild case, where they get the rash, they get the burning, and they get the pain. But then as the rash fades away, so does the burning and the pain, and they may be left with some skin changes, some minor scarring, or some pigment changes. But other than that, there are no other long-term effects. That unfortunately is relatively infrequent for shingles.
Wow.
Much more frequent is that there are lingering effects, and the lingering effects are often exactly what you describe, is that the rash goes away, but because it is a nerve-related issue, so the shingles virus, the virus that causes shingles, which is the same virus that causes chickenpox, lives in the nerve, grows out along the nerve, and the reason that you get it along the skin is because that is the skin area that particular nerve feeds from, because it causes significant nerve disruption in terms of the way that the nerve functions.
Yep.
Get these pains that can be described in different ways. It can be a burning pain, it can be an aching pain, it can be what's called a lancinating pain, which is almost like electric shocks. But they are very debilitating. Any kind of light touch or some movements will aggravate it significantly, and it's very difficult to control nerve pain, as your father learned both from his back and from his shingles.
Yeah.
They're both nerve-related pain. It can be very difficult to get that under control and to manage it. Shingles pain in this kind of a scenario is a long-term condition. There is no cure for it. It's really just management.
And all I can say is, our reaction to it was, he's been through so much with his back, finally starting to solve the back issue, and he gets shingles. Like, talk about horrible luck, but it does show you the importance of making sure you get that vaccination, right? You get that shingles shot. I think it's a series of 2 shots.
Correct. It is a series of 2 shots, and the best way is the best way not to get shingles is to have the shingles vaccine.
Okay. All right. And with that said, I know Manansky has a question here, and he's answering the phone. And Jeff, do you have that question? Okay, he's on the phone. Here he is. What's your question? I don't know what's happening, but I can't hear you in there. You're going to have to run back in, Jeff. Davey is out today, so Jeff is running back in from the other room. He'll be out of breath, I can guarantee it. Go ahead with your question.
Okay, so this comes from Ann in Rome, and Ann says, good morning. So this might be a recap because I'm not sure if I missed it. I can't hear in there. Please ask Dr. Hall when the RSV vaccine will be available. With RSV, flu, and COVID booster, when should people start receiving them?
Okay.
So what I have heard is that the RSV vaccine should be available this fall sometime. I haven't heard a specific date. And should people get it? Yes, they should. My recommendation is that they get it unless you're in a class where that you are at significant risk and you're going to be doing activities that are going to expose you to things. My recommendation is that people get them in late September or October, and the reason is because the flu vaccine is good for about 6 months, and that takes you through the vast majority of the flu season.
Yeah.
COVID, we know, is good for about 4 months, although we don't know with this new formulation whether it may be extended beyond that.
Right.
RSV, I have not seen data on how long the RSV vaccine will be good for. So I would say, if you're targeting something, I would target late September, early October.
All right. I'm not sure if I can fit all these in because I don't know how much time you have, Doc, but you're getting a ton of calls today. It's crazy. Kathy with a question for you. Kathy, you're on with Dr. Hall.
Well, Ann beat me.
Okay, that was the question you had. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Kathy,
Bye-bye.
have a great day. Thank you. All right, Doc. Oops. One more. Here
You're
it is.
popular today, Doc. Okay, so the caller wanted
Actually,
to know.
you've really gotten Jeff in good shape. He's running back. You can't see it unless you're watching on YouTube, but he's running back and forth here.
Getting my steps in this morning. Okay, so a caller just wanted to know, and then I have a personal question also. Wanted to know on the shingles element, would acupuncture work to relieve the nerve pain?
That's a great question. And what do you think, Doc?
So that is a great question. I would say, so first of all, I will say that this is my opinion because I have not seen any scientific data on it. But understanding the way that acupuncture works, I would say that, yes, there is an opportunity that acupuncture may actually help. Again, not a panacea, not 100%. But I would say that if somebody wants to give it a try, I would not be opposed to that.
Yeah.
And then personally,
listen, if you were to tell me, bouncing on my head would help. People, you get so much pain apparently that you'll do whatever it takes, whatever someone suggests. Okay.
And then personally, I'm pretty sure, I'm 95% sure, I awoke to a bat in my bedroom Sunday night. I put a blanket over my head, kind of walked out into the hallway.
Did you not find it? It's gone now?
I believe it followed me into the kitchen and I let it out of the house.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay. What should I do, Doc?
So, interesting concept here.
Well, because I think you're worried about rabies, right?
Right,
rabies,
and I'm
correct.
90% sure that there was a bat in my bedroom. It's a long story because
he's 10% sure he hallucinated it, but 90% sure that it happened.
I know I was awake, standing on my deck at like 2:30 in the morning, trying to get this bat out, but I couldn't tell you if I awoke in the middle of a dream in a panic mode.
So the good question here would be: is what kind of contact do you need to have with a rabid animal? That would warrant some sort of treatment.
Yeah. So obviously, people get most because rabies is from the saliva of the rabid animal, and so bites are obviously the biggest thing. Bats, the biggest. There is another concern, which is that they can actually kind of land and do some licking and things like that, and so you may not have necessarily a bite, although it does need to go through some kind of not intact skin. So I would say that, Jeff, in your case, it is a low probability that you would have any issues, and now we're assuming that the bat was rabid also.
And it was Sunday; it's now Tuesday.
Yeah. So I would say that you have a low probability of having come in contact or be exposed to rabies, and I probably wouldn't worry about it that much now. If you had woken up and it was, sitting on your chest, or you woke up and there was, and you had like
it was
an
cuddling
irritation
me,
and maybe a bite mark or a scratch mark or something on a part of your body, then that would be different. Then that would be what I would call an intermediate risk.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be something that should actually be taken care of. And by taken care of, I mean there is a process that you get what's called rabies immune globulin, and you get the rabies vaccine.
So,
by the way, Doc, what should I do if Jeff begins to froth at the mouth this morning? Immediately run to the hospital, get out of the room. I'm sorry. Final wrap up here?
Well, just the comment that Bill made that this happened Sunday night / Monday morning, and now it's Tuesday. If somebody had a concern like that, what is the window of time they would be looking at?
So if you have a concern, obviously the earlier the better. But if you're several days out, then certainly the rabies immune globulin becomes less of an issue. However, the rabies vaccine would still be protective.
Okay. All right, Doc, an extended morning this morning. We appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem, everybody. Please have a great day, and please be safe.
All right, you do the same. A lot of questions for Dr. Hall. Okay.
Heck, what do I need a COVID shot for? I got rabies, for crying out loud.
Just think of the the co-pays that we save here with Dr. Hall once a week.
You're not kidding.
You save a lot, boy. It's incredible. And we appreciate it, Dr. Hall from MVHS. Okay. What we're going to do right now is coming up. We'll be speaking with Cameron Decker. He wants to respond to the DA yesterday. We played that earlier this morning as well in regards to Catch a Predator. To Catch a Predator, that web series that it's not called that necessarily, but that's really what they're doing. They're trying to lure in people that are believed to be pedophiles who are trying to hit on young kids online. Terrible thing, but at the same time, DAs around here seem to be very uncomfortable with it, and so is Sheriff Rob Mashel, as well, as we've spoken to him about it. But before we get to that, I have a great question for our free money question of the day, and this morning it's at $200. Manaski making his way to the
$200.
$200 says Mr. Snuffle. You know what I'm trying to say, or Davey without his mojo. $200, and we'll take caller number 3, Jeff, at 315-736-0186. Caller 3 right now. We'll do that, and then get the response from Cameron Decker to the DA coming right up here. Caller 3, you'll bike a free money question of the day. Dial away right now. I've got a great doable question, and it is next on WIBX.
The Potting Shed Antiques in Whitesboro is buying silver, gold, gold-filled, vintage costume, estate jewelry, and U.S. and Canadian coins. They have been your hometown buyer for the last 49 years. Every gold and silver buyer claims to pay the highest prices, but the Potting Shed Antiques have been around for so long because they pay a fair and honest price. Let Don and Nancy take a look at your individual pieces or your entire collection. Open Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. Please call ahead for an appointment. Learn more online at thepottingshedantiques.com.
Attention, your money is now controlled by the U.S. government.
Picture a world where your every purchase is monitored, tracked, and controlled by those in power to suppress the freedoms of those they see fit. Hi, my name is Jason Hansen. I'm a former CIA officer and New York Times bestselling author. And right now, I've become very focused on the impending rollout of the central bank digital currency. This is not a work of fiction. It's a terrifying reality looming on the horizon. But there is a bit of good news. I've partnered with Advantage Gold to offer you a solution. They are specialists in converting your traditional assets, like those inside an IRA or 401k, into tangible assets such as physical gold and silver. Don't allow your money to be controlled. Claim your free gold protection kit from Advantage Gold. Call 800-900-8000, 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor.
Call 800-900-8000.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
The Falcon Clinic in Washington Mills is accepting new patients right now. And we mentioned acupuncture, and Dr. Kosminski is an acupuncturist at the Falcon Clinic, along with other doctors, family doctors, a family practitioner, Dr. Shemileski, Dr. Zielinski. They're accepting new patients right now, and you can call today and schedule an appointment. Have you been tested for hepatitis C? You may be having symptoms where there's fatigue or pain that you didn't expect. Baby boomers, hepatitis C is very prevalent. And you know what? It's 100% curable. Dr. Shemileski is Hep C certified. Call today at 315-507-4751 or visit them online, falconclinic.com. The Falcon Clinic in Washington Mills.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
Let's do our free money question of the day from the Hobeika Law Firm. Joseph and Andrew Hobeika at 315-724-1600. And Mike is on the line right now. Hey, Mike, good morning.
Hey, good morning. How you doing?
I was watching something on TV the other night.
Where you
and I don't now. I should write these things down. And I just want you to know, I'm in my den with my wife. We're watching TV, and I'm thinking about you. I know that sounds very creepy. But based on the things that you're always talking about, the programs and series that you like to watch, and you're a big Apple guy and all of that. So something popped up on TV, and I'm like, you know what? The next time Mike calls in, I got to bring this up to him. And for the life of me, I cannot remember what it was.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I can't. So after all of that, Mike, I'm here to tell you.
Quite a lead up.
It's quite a lead up. I led all the way up to. I don't remember what it was.
So. Now I'm going to be thinking about this all day. How am I going to figure that?
Well, I'll remember it. I will remember it.
You know what I forgot to tell you?
Yes.
I forgot to tell you.
Sir.
I went to the concert with Motley Crue, Def Leppard, and Alice Cooper.
Nice.
Syracuse.
That was in Syracuse. How was that show? I bet it was awesome.
That was phenomenal. 5 hours they played.
Wow.
And I've never seen any of them. It was the first time seeing it. I've been about 43 concerts in my lifetime, but I've never seen any of them, and that was just an unbelievable show. Alice Cooper went out with the snake.
Yeah, that's cool.
The first part, that was phenomenal.
You know, he's tight with our friend Scott Flansburgh, the human calculator. They're good friends.
Oh yeah, I think Davey was saying that too.
Yep.
It's I'm going to see Bruce Springsteen and Peter Gabriel too next month.
I got to say, we have tickets for some shows. We are coming up, as long as we're sharing this here, and then I'll move on. We're going to be seeing Billy Joel. Turns out my daughter's a huge Billy Joel fan. Didn't know it.
Oh,
I love Billy Joel.
My daughter is too.
And it's funny how your kids, all of my kids, are like into older music, which I appreciate. That's pretty cool.
It's funny because of us too. Because I know, like when my daughter was younger, I played the music and
that's probably it's our fault. And then who's coming to the Turning Stone? The former American Idol, and she was a winner maybe.
Not Kelly Clarkson.
No, the country singer.
Carrie Underwood.
Carrie Underwood. Yeah, we got tickets to that show too.
Oh, that's cool.
That's coming to the Turning Stone. That'll be a big show. Yeah.
But Billy Joel, I took both my girls to see them at Syracuse in 2015, I think.
Yeah.
I went to the River of Dreams tour. That was his last studio album, 1993. I still got the ticket.
Yeah.
But that was good.
You know, I also went to see Elvis in Rome the other day. I believe he's living there now, Elvis Presley. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, here's your question. And I really believe this is a question you're going to get right. It's worth $200. Here's why I believe you're going to get it right, because this question was stolen from a streaming service series.
Mike, I will,
just last night.
I will just say this, Mike. Bill says to every caller, I think you're going to get the question. Bill says before every Mets season, I think we're going to make the playoffs. Right. I think we're going to win it all.
But I refuse to say this year with the Bills we're going to win it all because I don't want to jinx it. So, all right, here we go. This is a question I literally saw on a new series on streaming. I can't remember which service last night. Here we go. You have 7 seconds. You know the way this works. This famous lawman's nickname was Speed. Who are we talking about? Ready, go.
Jesus, lawman. I have no idea. Famous lawman.
This is not a fictitious character either. He's a real character, real person. And the reason he was called Speed, his nickname was Speed, is because he liked to talk really fast. He talked really quickly as a kid. He was an odd duck. Famous lawman, an odd duck. Some say he used to, after his death, we learned he used to wear skirts. He may have been a bit of a cross-dresser.
Hoover?
J. Edgar Hoover. His nickname was Speed.
J. Edgar Hoover?
Yeah, that's it.
Wow.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
I think they said his nickname was Speed because of the quickness of his costume changes.
Yeah,
that was the reason.
He was speedy. Whoa! I thought you were wearing pants just a second ago. All right.
If you said famous FBI man, I probably would have said it.
Well, why don't I just say the Hoover that isn't a vacuum cleaner? I could do that.
Here you go.
Can't make it that easy. All right, all-in-one food and fun card, which is an awesome $25 gift card. Good at the amazing Aquavino in New Hartford, Babe 72, Taylor and the Cook at any of the concession stands. And, hockey's coming back. The Adirondack Bank Center and Nexus. And we'll mail that to you. I guess Jeff's going to get the information.
I do have his info. Thank you, Mike.
We're hanging up on you. Say goodbye, Mike. Enjoy the day.
Take care. Have a good day.
And I'll remember what I had to tell you probably in a couple of weeks. We'll see.
Okay, for next time.
All right, thank you. All right. Yeah. On the line yesterday, we spoke with Oneida County District Attorney Scott McNamara in regards to Cameron Decker. Decker is from Florida. He travels the country and spends a lot of time up here in search of guys, mostly, for the most part, although it's not exclusive to men, who try to pick up children on the web. Predators, sexual predators. Maybe qualifying under the term pedophile. And a lot of DAs in this area having a difficulty with what Cameron Decker is doing, calling it vigilantism, dangerous, and as Scott McNamara said yesterday, very difficult to prosecute because he's not working along with police and he's not trained in a way that is conducive with the Constitution and prosecuting a case. So that's basically, in a nutshell, what Scott McNamara said yesterday. And Cameron Decker wanted to respond. He's on the line right now. And Cameron, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Bill. How are you guys doing? Jeff?
Good morning. So when we talked to the DA yesterday, he had some concerns. He did use the concern entrapment there, and then you heard Bill kind of describe some of the other concerns. What? Go ahead.
So, I guess, my response to that would be this. And, first and foremost, I'd like to say, I'm sure Utica PD, they're a great police department. I'm sure this is a great DA. I don't think that he supports, child predators running around the streets of Utica. But in the same sense, he hasn't tried to prosecute a single case yet. So, what I would recommend to him would be to contact Sean Smith of Delaware County, who has a conviction with one of my cases already. Sean's done 8 grand jury cases where they were all unanimous votes to indict. I can't speak on other groups out there, unfortunately. I can only control my own group. So the way I collect my evidence, the way that we do the decoys and chats, it's working in other places. And I guess what I'd have to say to this DA is try a case. He should have 4 or 5 of them on his desk from a year ago.
Well, and if I can say his response to that yesterday, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but his response, I believe he referenced, there are some DAs out there, one in particular, he said, who's running for re-election, or I believe was appointed, and he's now running for re-election. The other part of this is there's one thing to convict. There's another thing to have that hold up on appeal. So my guess is it'll be appealed, and he just says the way that you're doing it doesn't hold up in court. Even though he may get a conviction, it's then going to be appealed, and when it goes to a higher court, his fear would be is that, of course, the case doesn't stick.
Well, what I can say is I have convictions in other places, and I haven't had a single case go to appeal yet. And I know other organizations that have multiple convictions that none of the cases have ever gone to appeals. Pretty in touch with all the other groups. We're actually all in a group chat together on Instagram. So we communicate regularly there, and I haven't seen that yet. But,
how would you know that the cases? How would you know that the cases haven't been appealed?
Well, because all of us, we're all witnesses on the cases. So, if you can imagine even when these guys get released out of jail, we're notified about that because we're technically a witness on the case.
Okay. All right. And what do you say, though, and I've got just about a minute here, but what do you say when he says you're not trained to do this, where police go through extensive training, undercover training, in order to not only safely possibly lure in someone who is doing this, but in a way where it doesn't violate their constitutional rights, and it's something that they can convict on, and it's not dangerous.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, there's not like any place you can go to school to catch predators unless you go through the law enforcement and
you become a police officer.
Detective in 5 years. But I will say this, and I can only speak for myself. Right now I've mostly been just working alongside law enforcement, and I only do these stings with the police now.
Okay.
So we set them up. The police are made aware of all the evidence. They review the evidence. The DA sent the evidence. He reviews it to make sure everything looks good. There's probable cause there. And then when the predators show up, the police have probable cause to, detain them and question them. And most cases, they don't even arrest on site in one of the counties I'm working in.
Yeah.
They do grand jury.
He also said that you use some very derogatory language, anti-gay language, and that sort of thing that would not bode well with a jury. How do you respond to that?
That's not true. I've actually seen some ICAC chat logs in the past of detectives, and the predators have to be, they have to get sexual first, which they do. They initiate that. We're allowed to engage in that kind of conversation with them once they do. And I've seen ICAC.
To be fair, I'm going to give you a chance to wrap this up on the other side of the news. So stand by, and we'll come right back. WIBX, Utica, Rome.
13 more criminal charges for former President Trump. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, in his fourth indictment, this one in Georgia. And like the third one, it's related to 2020.
The defendants engaged in a criminal racketeering enterprise to overturn Georgia's presidential election results.
Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis said defendants, plural. There are 18 Trump associates also facing numerous charges,
including violation of oath by a public officer and filing false documents. All of the defendants have been charged with violating Georgia's racketeering law, which carries a maximum prison sentence of 20 years. In addition to Mr. Trump, the indicted defendants include his former White House Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows, and some of his former attorneys, including Rudy Giuliani and Sidney Powell.
Fox's Jonathan Seri outside the courthouse. The former president posted on Truth Social early this morning, the witch hunt continues, calling the DA out of control and corrupt, and they waited to indict till the middle of the presidential campaign, and many Republicans support him.
I'm pissed.
Senator Ted Cruz tells Fox's Hannity,
this is disgraceful, it is wrong, and it is an abuse of power by angry Democrats.
The Democratic leaders of the House and Senate, Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, put out a statement. No one is above the law, and this fourth Trump indictment portrays a repeated pattern of criminal activity. Now the wildfire disaster in Hawaii.
Whoever got out there alive is the lucky ones. Like I said, 30 seconds, it wasn't even minutes, you just had to go.
Etan Krupnik is among the many whose house burned down in Lahaina, where it's up to 99 people confirmed dead. Only 3 have been identified so far. As cadaver dogs search the ashes and ruins, more than 1,000 people remain unaccounted for. There's a new report from the UN today warning about ISIS. While it no longer has Islamic State territory in Iraq and Syria, the terror group still has 5,000 to 7,000 members and is still recruiting. America's listening to Fox News.
Consumer Cellular, you get the same exact coverage as the largest carriers for up to half the cost. Same thing, up to half the cost. Less money for the exact same thing. Hope this is clear enough. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, they're here to answer. Switch today and get a second month of service for free. Go to consumercellular.com/free month and enter promo code free month. Half the cost savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single line 5 gigabyte data plan and unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plans offered by T-Mobile and Verizon May 2023. Promotion subject to terms and conditions.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
It's raining and 65 degrees. WIBX News Time is 8:03. This news update is brought to you by My Carl's. They have hot buys this August. 2-piece sofa and love seats from $5.99. Reclining sofas from $4.99. Same-day delivery, My Carl's in the New Hartford Shopping Center. Oneida County Sheriff's deputies releasing the name of a woman who tragically lost her life in a crash over the weekend. 75-year-old Diane Schaefer was driving on Seneca Turnpike in New Hartford Sunday when she struck another vehicle that was making a U-turn. Schaefer was taken to a nearby hospital but passed away. No tickets have been issued in connection with the accident. Monroe's County Executive Adam Bello is asking for the National Guard to come to his area due to ongoing concerns about asylum seekers. In Erie County, 2 migrants were recently arrested for allegedly sexually assaulting women in separate incidents at hotels in Cheektowaga. In Monroe County, all emergency housing plans must be approved by the Department of Human Services before asylum seekers can arrive. But despite that policy, Bello is still requesting additional security in his area. A teacher in Spencerport, New York, arrested on child pornography charges, has made an appearance in federal court. Prosecutors say 37-year-old Ian Millam posed as a high school student and sent explicit videos to at least one person. He is a 6th grade math teacher at Cosgrove Middle School. The FBI is asking anyone who may have been in contact with him to call them. The DEC releasing details about a bear chase. A woman was being followed by a bear in Wyndham Blackhead Range, the wilderness area up there. The report states that on August 4th, a 23-year-old Canadian backpacker told the Greene County Dispatch that the animal was following her near North Point. After dropping the backpack, thinking the bear might be after that, a forest ranger was able to locate the human and the bear about 30 minutes after she called 911, and the ranger was also able to scare away the bear from the backpack, and eventually it kind of wandered off, but fortunately nothing bad happened. But a scary moment when you realize you are being followed by a wild animal.
Yeah,
They can rip you apart.
That is, that's pretty scary.
And a New York State Fair tradition is underway. The fair bill is just a week away. We've been counting it down since January, for crying out loud. Artists are now using hundreds of pounds of butter to create a sculpture that will be located in the Dairy Building. The theme of the sculpture this year, it's always a big secret.
Can I guess? Do we know what it is?
I don't know what it is.
Oh, okay.
Once the sculpture is...
I thought it was a butter sculpture of the Mets winning the pennant, but probably not this year.
Probably not.
No.
Or next year. Or the year after that.
You may be right.
Or the year after that. Okay, once the sculpture is no longer needed, they recycle it, Bill, and they turn it into renewable energy. Interesting. WIBX News Time is 8:06. Here's your weather forecast from Eyewitness News.
I'm Eyewitness News Chief Meteorologist Craig Flint in the WIBX Weather Center. Today, breezy, quite a few clouds, rain and thundery downpours mainly in the morning. Rain tapers to scattered showers by afternoon and evening. High of 72. Tonight, cloudy areas of drizzle or patchy fog, a low of 64. Tomorrow, early leftover shower or sprinkle. Then warmer in the afternoon with increasing sunshine, high of 78. For more on your local forecast, tune to Eyewitness News at 6 on WUTR. I'm meteorologist Craig Flint on WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM.
Raining and 65 at 8:07. All right, in sports, the Mets get a win against the Buccos, 7-2 last night in Flushing. Brandon Nimmo went deep, as did Daniel Vogelbach. The Mets are now 54-65. They continue their 3-game series at Citi Field tonight. Before the game, the Mets activated Sam Coonrod from the 60-day IL and placed Josh Walker on the 15-day injured list with a right oblique strain. The Yankees beat up in Atlanta 11-3 the final. Clark Schmidt was tagged with the loss, allowing 8 runs on 9 hits over 2 1/3. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa was 3 for 4 at the plate with an RBI. The Yankees now just one game over 500 at 60 and 59. And the Jets come to terms on an agreement with Dalvin Cook. Free agent running back Cook agreeing to a 1-year deal worth up to $8.6 million. Pro Football Talk says the deal has a $7 million base with $1.6 million in incentives. The Vikings released Cook in June for contract reasons. The 28-year-old has run for nearly 6,000 yards, 47 touchdowns over 73 career games. He also has about 1,800 yards receiving and 5 touchdowns. The addition of Dalvin Cook is a nice one there for the Jets. We'll see what they can do this year. I just having Rodgers, I didn't really think I'm not that scared of them, but Dalvin Cook is a very good player. Well, hopefully he's still got some juice left in those legs.
Listen, the way as you know, we're Mets fans. In fact, we're going to be going to a Mets game coming up in about a week, and
that's right.
I'm trying to think of how exciting that's going to be. How many wins in a row? How many losses in a row? But you know what? If you're betting on it, you're talking about losses. And even the Bills this year, I expect the Bills to be really strong this year. But anything can happen. And by the way, that's going to be a tough conference.
Oh yeah, no question about it.
So, anything could happen. But I still stand by my prediction that Rodgers is going to struggle. I don't think that's going to be the all-in win guarantee for the Jets that they think it is.
Yeah,
but we'll see. Hey, they're better off with him, though, right?
I would think.
All right, couple things. We were talking to Cameron Decker, who has some sites up and some. They're still up there. You can see his Facebook page, and there's actually a story on our website about it. And there's a link to his social up there on our website. But yesterday, the DA here said that he actually called Cameron a defense attorney's. How did he word it? A defense attorney's not
worst nightmare.
No, not nightmare. No,
it's actually
the opposite of that. But you know what I mean. The defense attorney would love to have Cameron as a witness because there are so many things they could beat him up on and discredit him and win their case for maybe somebody who is guilty of pedophilia. Either way, we wanted to give him the opportunity to speak to that.
Well, can I just ask, and Cameron, I know you're about to address this. The chat log, in theory, would be available for everyone to see. So, let me ask you that. Have you run into any issues with any prosecutors in regard to your own personal history and that being, I guess, a complication in prosecuting somebody who's alleged to have done some of these things?
And for the record, so it's basically to catch the predator. They go online. They pose as young people. People try to pick them up, and they record it, and then reach out to police in hopes of getting these people arrested. But Cameron, go ahead.
To answer your question, Jeff, no, I haven't. I haven't had any issues. I've only one time been cross-examined by the defense, and yeah, of course they try and pick at different things, but it hasn't affected any of those cases. At the end of the day, the jury isn't going to care more about me. They're going to care more about the person that allegedly showed up to me, a child, with significant evidence proving that point.
Okay, Cameron, that's just not true. And I'm sorry, I just can't let you say that because that's not even close to true. And I've heard from 2 district attorneys who both have law degrees and several years of experience in prosecuting cases who both say that clearly that the defense would eat you up on the stand and you're saying you've never been cross-examined by a defense attorney, then the defense attorney's not doing his job. The defense attorney's there to get that person to be found not guilty, and if he's not cross-examining you, well, you just told me you hadn't been cross-examined.
No, he said that he hadn't been. It hadn't been an issue.
No, I said no. If you replay it, I said I have one time, and it didn't affect the case.
So how many times have you testified?
Just one time. Well, if you're counting grand jury, then 11 times, but there's no defense attorney at grand jury, so I don't think that counts.
So
one time, because they all plea out.
So only one of your case. So they plea out, or the grand jury doesn't indict. So you've really only testified in one case, and you're saying the
other cases. Yeah, all of the other cases, they literally, like, the best example I can give you is...
Well, let me go back. Hold on. Let me go back to that. You've only testified in one case. Just a second ago, you said, I've only been cross-examined once. So 100% of the cases... Right?
I've only been cross-examined one time by the defense in my entire 184 catches.
But how many times have you testified in a trial?
Every case so far, they've all pled out. All of them have pled out.
Well, it can't be if you were
New Jersey and ask them.
I'm not trying to be argumentative, but I'm just trying to get to the facts here, because you said that you've been cross-examined once. One case went to trial.
Yeah. That's it.
Okay. So just a second ago, you said none of your cases went to trial. But see, there are inconsistencies in what you're saying. That's all I'm saying. And listen for a second.
I think you're misunderstanding me.
No, I'm not understanding. No, I am not a misunderstander. Trust me. I listen very carefully to your words. Now listen to me. Listen carefully. You can laugh all you want, but I heard what you said. But here's the point that I have a problem with. You have, and I don't mean to be insulting by any means, but you have no law experience, no trial experience. You do not have a law degree. You'd probably, I don't know that you've gone to, I don't know that you have a criminal justice degree, an associate's degree. We're talking about people who have law degrees, who have tried cases for years and years. I can't take you as an expert witness here, basically. I can't take you when you say, well, I disagree. I would be a great witness. I don't care what they say. Well, where do you get your how do you back that up? You have no law degree. You have no legal education whatsoever. And I just don't know how you can disagree with them and say, well, they're wrong. I'm right.
I'm not saying that they're wrong, Bill. He's right for having his concerns, but all I can say is if you don't try it even one time, then how is he going to know? And my question to you is, why don't you reach out to the places that I can list off to you that we have convictions in, and ask those DAs what they think about this?
We've already done that. We did that once before. Do you remember? We spoke with, it was either a sheriff or a DA we had on the air like a year ago.
Well, Fulton County, but we didn't have a conviction there yet. Delaware County, we have a conviction. We've had now 7 grand jury hearings in that county alone where they were all indicted unanimously with my evidence. And, yeah, I don't have a degree in this. I'm a victim myself. I wanted to go out there and do good and do my best. And I did a lot of research. I spoke to a lot of ICAC detectives over the last year and a half that I've been doing this. It's been trial and error. Obviously, there's no college courses on how to catch child predators.
Well, there really is, and it's going into law enforcement and going after a law degree. So there is.
Right. But here's the thing. It's hard to explain, really, but I feel like I'm more effective on my side of things. I don't have any jurisdiction. I can go to states that need help. There's a lot of police agencies that don't have the budgets or resources to even decoy online. And a lot of those kind of areas is where I specialize in, because it's better than nothing. Right. If I'm not out there in a lot of these places, then nothing's being done. And then all these child predators are just being able to fiend on kids online. And then there's going to be more victims out there. So at the very least, they're exposed, and if the DA doesn't want to take the case, it's on that DA.
Well, what if you get an innocent person, a person like the DA described yesterday, who thought he was talking to someone who was above 18 or 17, and which would be legal, and then all of a sudden it switched to a minor, and now he's been humiliated and embarrassed. What if you get it wrong? And I'm not. And let me finish.
Bill, I can show you my chat logs. Age drop at the very top of the conversation.
Fair enough.
We clarify that they know that it's underage, and then when we end up meeting them in person, I'd say 80% of my cases, they all admit on camera that they knew that it was an underage kid.
Okay.
None of these people think that they're, that it's an adult.
Then the conundrum is you're saying this is on a silver platter, basically a case on a silver. It meets all the constitutional tests, and the DAs, the people who prosecute, are saying that's not the case. So if I'm a betting man,
let's be honest, 2 DAs out of
how many DAs do you have that are working with you? Number one, but beyond that, I'm not here. Listen,
in New York or out of New York?
In New York.
In New York, Delaware County, Otsego County, Fulton County. However, I haven't done anything in Fulton County in a year now.
Okay.
So I haven't been back there yet.
So
there's 3 right there. Chenango County prosecuted some cases. So there's 4 to your Herkimer County and Oneida County.
Okay. Again, I'm taking your word for it, and I'm not overly confident in that, to be honest. I could, but I'm
Delaware County.
Listen,
Otsego County.
I don't want to put any time into this, any further time. What I'm saying to you is, you don't know that nothing is being done. The counties and police agencies could be out there working on cases, and because no one, I think we agreed on this, and you said it last hour. No one, you can't imagine that any of these sheriffs or law enforcement agencies, police officers, district attorneys, assistant DAs, any of these people are for pedophilia, sex trafficking, or anything like that. We would all agree.
Correct.
It's despicable and horrific and terrible, and God forbid the feelings that I have inside of what I would like to do to someone injuring a child would land me in jail. But I guess what I'm saying is I don't need you to change my mind, because you're never going to change my mind on this. I do feel that what you're doing is while good intentioned, I think it's potentially dangerous, and that's just my opinion. I may be wrong. The other part that you wanted...
It is dangerous.
What's that?
I said it's very dangerous. You're absolutely right.
Well, and I think it's dangerous for many reasons, to yourself, to possibly other people, to possibly someone that you come across that you might wrongfully accuse. But beyond all of that, here... They don't want to work with. They aren't willing to work with you. However, the DA did say what he would suggest to you is to reach out to authorities, which it seems like you may be doing that a little bit. But where you would be the decoy, and they would accept you as the decoy for somebody that goes undercover, and they would direct you. They would tell you how to proceed in the way that they would do it. That's what his suggestion was for you. Is that something you would consider?
Absolutely. That's what I'm doing in Delaware County right now. I've already contacted them and asked them in the past, never got calls back. But yeah, I'm all for it if they're willing to. And just real quick before I forget, I had an update on that case that I talked about on your show. So what was it, a week ago I was on there?
Yes.
So 2 days after the show, I got a call from the detective that a search warrant has been served on that individual's phone with the CP on it. So I just wanted to update and thank the Utica PD for doing that.
And we talked about that yesterday, that they had to go on. Because, I believe the DA referenced it yesterday, because apparently a woman had called and asked why nothing was being done. And the DA said, well, you have to file a case, you have to file a complaint with the police department, and I think that happened, and then they reached out to you and they're investigating it, and at the end of the day, you might actually, in this case, get an arrest after all in Oneida County and Utica. That might be coming. The other part that I know you wanted to. So again, don't get me wrong. I don't think what you're doing. I think your intentions are good. I am very sorry that you were a victim, and we've talked about that in the past as well. I just feel like I'm uneasy with it because you haven't gone through all the training that police officers go through in order to do this sort of thing. It's just my opinion. But I know you want... I don't even want you to comment. I don't want you to... I don't even care about your comment on this because it doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's my opinion.
That's fine.
Just my opinion.
That's fine.
Okay? So, but what I wanted to give you a chance to do is yesterday the DA said that you are monetizing this. And that
I'm not monetizing Facebook or YouTube anymore.
That you're making money off this. So
Nope.
explain that. I know you wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, sure. So I used to be monetized. The first 6 or 7 months I was monetized, and I only made enough money to cover half of what I was spending in gas. So I wasn't even really making anything. YouTube doesn't like predator catchers. They call it cyberbullying and harassment when we, post videos of asking these guys questions of why they showed up to meet an underage kid. And they revoked monetization back in November of last year for me. And then that channel was new.
Yep.
Yeah, so then we created a new one, and I've had the ability to remonetize the new channel after I reached over 1,000 subscribers, and I decided not to for the purpose of when it goes to trial or court, a defense attorney can't sit there and hammer me about, well, you're getting paid for this. That's not why I do this. I do this because I believe in the cause and I enjoy doing it. So how I would make money in the meantime is, for example, like TurboTax, I could go do communications for a few months there and make some money, and I have a savings account. So I've only invested my own money into this. Occasionally people will donate if I have long trips for fuel, and the only donations that I do ask for regularly are decoy phones. If people have old burner phones at their house, so we could turn them into the police for the cases. They're expensive.
All right.
Cameron,
So,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I'm good.
He's done.
Okay, so we had a question from Pete. How did he make a living? Does this gig offer him a salary, and if so, by whom? Do police pay you at any point? Any police agencies you've worked with?
Oh, God, no. No. The police don't ask me to do this either. Everything's voluntary on my end.
Lance and Lee, ask him if he does the bait and switch. The DA referred to this yesterday, essentially that you establish yourself in a chat room where it's believed that it is adults.
You start out as an adult, and then you switch to a minor.
I don't do chat rooms, so I don't know. What I do is
your
create
discussions. I'm sorry.
Where the profile picture looks like an underage kid. We post them on just various dating apps, Facebook and Instagram. There's no chat rooms. And then
in your conversations, your one-on-one conversations.
He described it as you're on Grindr, and I know you've been on that. We've talked about that before.
Yeah, so I'm on Grindr. If you could actually look it up yourself, simple Google search. There's real kids that get on there because Grindr doesn't have any methods of keeping kids off of there, like young bi-curious males that don't want to talk to their parents about being gay get on there. And unfortunately, they end up becoming R-worded, and there's a bunch of news articles of different cases or murdered. So I'm on there until Grindr decides to increase their algorithms to pick up when an adult's told that the kid's 14 or 13. Or Grindr creates a payment method where you have to prove that you're over the age of 18, because right now their terms of service is lacking those. So that's why we patrol in those apps, because if we're not there, then no one's there.
And I think what the DA implied that is happening yesterday in the one case where actually he didn't imply, he said in the one case that he looked into, you portrayed yourself as an adult and then switched to a child. So he called that the bait and switch. He was referencing one of your cases, or at the very least one of the cases that was submitted.
So he's probably talking about, so when I first started using Grindr, like I said, it's been trial and error. The very beginning, those cases were over a year ago.
Yeah.
So on Grindr, the profile, you can't set the age any lower than 18. So on my profile, it probably said age 18, which is the youngest that I can make it. But as soon as they message, I tell them I'm underage. But after, I've been doing this for quite some time, I figured out how to shut the age off on the profile. So now on any account that I can, I shut that age off where it says 18 or whatever. But that's on the profile. We didn't tell them, in text, hey, I'm 18 or whatever. It wasn't like that at all. And also, too, the profile pictures that we use clearly look like they're underage. They all look like they're below the age of 16 as well. So it's pretty obvious.
All right, a couple more comments here real quick. This comes from Britt in Utica. Britt says, if Cameron feels so strongly about this, why is he not making an advocacy group or getting involved in law field? It says law field.
Yeah, and even the DA had said yesterday one of the ways that is to lobby politicians to change the laws in New York, because I do say I really believe that the laws and the punishments and that sort of thing, it's all messed up in New York and probably other states as well. People can go ahead.
I talk about that all the time on my channels. Anytime I go live, I talk about bail reform. I always tell people you need to vote for politicians that are against bail reform. And, you know, in Florida anyways, I've actually spoken with, I don't know if you're going to know her or not because she's not from your area, but I'm from Florida. I've spoken with Ana Paulina Luna, who actually just won a congressional seat in the last election. And, you know, I have been trying to meet with legislators to try and change laws, especially in Florida. And when it comes to these sort of cases, another thing too is I've been in contact with Genesee County, Michigan, which is Ghost, which is where Chris Hansen's operating out of, to see if Ghost is willing to help train me on decoying, just to make sure I'm doing everything I need to do, because they do all the decoying for Chris Hansen. So I'll keep you updated once I hear back from them. I just called them on Friday last week. So
you're doing decoying. You're working for Chris Hansen.
No. Chris Hansen uses a group called Ghost out of Genesee County, Michigan, and they do his decoying. So I reached out to that organization to see if they'd be willing to help me out here in New York.
Okay.
You know, there's not some formal certification from them, but it would just, you know, because then I can come on here and say, hey, you know, Ghost checked out all of my chat logs. I sent them all 300 different chat conversations that I had over the last year and a half, and they checked it out and they thought it was great, or they, you know, trained me to do these things differently. You know, all of that's important, of course, but I will say this. I've had ICAC detectives in North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, New Jersey. They don't have ICAC in New Jersey as far as I know, but I've had detectives read my chat logs, and they told me there's not anything I could have done differently that would make it better. Like,
well,
at the end of the day,
that's awesome. It doesn't change my mind, but that's not going to change my mind. I'm still uncomfortable with it.
Would you like me to send you the chat logs of all of the cases I have in Utica?
No. I want you to go. I want you to go to college, get a law degree, or go to the police academy and become a police officer.
Bill has a philosophical difference on your approach to this. Okay?
Yeah, it's vigilantism, and I while I'm with you, and believe me, if I had the opportunity, and I've seen it before, where a person goes online in some sort of a chat room. This was years ago, and all of a sudden, all these guys start hitting on them, and they know they're underage. It is a problem. There's no doubt about it. But I just am uncomfortable with someone that hasn't gone through extensive training going out and doing it. And on top of this, you have people out there whose faces are being, their people's lives are being ruined. And were they really going to meet with you? Were they not? I just feel like it's a whole big, gigantic ball ready to explode. And I'm uncomfortable with it. That's just my opinion.
Can we just? I want to jump to that because John from Rome sent in a message via the app, and it's a question along those lines. He says, "Ask him what if people say I knew he wasn't really a minor. He was just saying that for an effect, almost like a role playing type of a thing."
That's totally what
have you encountered that?
The DA talked about.
And how do you respond to that?
I haven't had that situation come up, but I can tell you that the messages are very clear that it's not a role play. In fact, we insinuate a lot of times too.
How would you know? Hold on a second. How would you know it's not a role play?
Yeah.
How would you know it's not a role play? Because at the end of the day, they go to police. When the police show up, they say, "I knew he was fake. I was just playing along with him.
Like
I was messing with him."
No, Bill.
No, absolutely. I don't know how you could distinguish between the two.
84 cases. I haven't had that ever happen once for me. So.
Well, they're not going to tell you that. They're going to tell the police that.
Okay. Well, I mean, like, again, it's not role playing. We don't say anything in there that would be role playing. We tell them the age right away. the picture also.
Well, the age is not real, so you're role playing.
Our pictures are
the pictures are not real, so you're role playing. That's exactly what you're doing.
So is Chris Hansen role playing?
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm comfortable. To be honest with you, when I really think about the Chris Hansen thing, they're totally doing it for ratings. They're totally doing it for millions of dollars in revenue, and I'm beginning to think I'm not sure I'm comfortable with Chris Hansen, to be honest with you. But I don't know how he does it.
I went and looked up the Chris Hansen.
Chris Hansen has an agency that I think it's actually police detectives that do his decoying. He just interviews.
But Chris Hansen has taken this and run with it.
Yeah, he's no longer affiliated with whatever network he launched.
I think it was ABC or NBC.
He's detached from them,
and he started
now,
a business.
and now he's doing this as a business. I think yes,
which is now there's business, so it's profit. It's for profit. So I'm uncomfortable with it all. I listen.
What's more comfortable an adult meeting up with a real child. That's what's more uncomfortable.
And that's supposed to make me feel bad. No, I'm very much against that. Okay, don't imply that I'm okay with sex trafficking or a child being approached by an adult in a terrible way. I'm not for that. Don't imply that I am.
I don't think he was saying you were for that.
Yeah, he said, well, what's worse? Him going out there and stomping on someone's constitutional rights, or I mean, you can't ask that question. And I'm just saying, you're not trained, and that's what makes me uncomfortable. Stop trying to change my mind. I'm not. You're going to keep doing this. I understand. You're not going to change my mind.
Thanks for child.
All right. So
Sorry,
a couple of comments here. Dee Dee in Utica says, I understand Keeler and McNamara's position, but I think they're being really tough on this guy. He may be effective in a different way. And
he could be if he'd work with the agencies.
Yeah, I do think you need to work with these agencies more.
Well, the agencies need to work with me then, because I've reached out to them several times trying to work with them.
Now, what do you do though if they don't want you to? You go into the academy and you train to become a police officer. It seems like you really are out for the good.
Bill, I'm not even catching in Utica right now. That the last catch that came up wasn't even my catch. That was Alex Rosen from Predator Poachers, who I went and assisted just for the interview process.
Cameron,
I'm working at Delaware County, where they do work with me, Bill.
You're on the radio in Utica. Sorry. What I'm saying is, I just think you'd be better served.
I'm not in Utica right now. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not.
I didn't say you were. But you're talking with us right now. That's why we're discussing it, isn't it? All right, I'm getting frustrated. I appreciate what you're trying to do here. I'm just uncomfortable with it. So there it is. All right?
Yeah, I think that's kind of where we're going to have to leave this, because you definitely have some issues with it. I do think some of the DA's words yesterday, and I don't look at Cameron as a bad guy here, and I think you can make a case for vigilantism. But the way Dee Dee said it, I think they're being a little rough on him. I do think we're almost kind of putting him up like, I don't want to say he's doing the wrong thing. I feel like the way you said, he's trying to help. He's trying to do the right thing. He's trying to do something good here. But I don't know that it always works out that way.
And it's dangerous. Just ask someone like Jeff Carpenter. And the other part of this, too, is, well, I don't want to get into it anymore. I'm good with it, where we are. And you're going to keep doing it, and I'm going to keep believing the way I believe. But ultimately, here's somewhere where we can agree. Taking advantage of a child, sexual abuse, sex trafficking, sexual deviance with children is a horrific thing. And if the person fell in front of a car and got run over, I would have no problem with that whatsoever. I have these feelings that would probably I would wind up in jail because of it. That's how I feel. I've also been involved in a case before in a couple of different times where there has been a sexual predator. So I'm not coming from a place that is naive. I've been there, and it's horrific, and it ruins lives, and it ruins them permanently. Children whose lives get ruined for the rest of their lives. It's a horrible thing. But at the end of the day, I still don't think you should be doing what you're doing. That's just my personal opinion, and we can leave it at that, I would think.
Okay.
I appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you.
Yeah, no
and
problem. I have nothing to hide, dude. Like, I'm open to talk anytime you guys need me.
When you become a police officer and you go into the academy, we're gonna be really pushing for you. So you let us know when that happens.
Yeah, that would be 2000 never. But thanks again, Bill, for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. That's a good line, though.
2000 never.
2000 never. I've never thought of that line before. Please do not think that I'm. It is what it is.
I thought you were a little tough on him.
I am, because I think that it's dangerous, and I don't agree with what he's doing. And if it's not for, and the whole Chris Hansen thing, I'm not sure I'm comfortable with that. He's turned it into a business.
I know it's a business.
He's making money off it.
Right. So this is okay. So this is a great place, I think, to cross this bridge and then move on from this. This becomes the thing we've talked about in society, and it's very difficult for me to quantify and describe. When you have, I'll say, a food bank, right? Is the effort of the food bank to continue to grow and feed more people, or to not have anybody to have to feed at the food bank? It's like this to catch a predator. You go down this road and you find out there's a teacher or a priest or whoever, right? And you're like, wow, that's so great that you expose that, and that person's no longer a danger.
Yeah.
And then it becomes, well, I want to find the next one and the next one. And it's almost like, do you create the animal or are you hunting?
Well, it's kind of like, what does Al Sharpton do if racism goes away, right?
Exactly.
What's he going to do? But there is nobody, I don't know anyone who's more against and infuriated by pedophilia.
It's disgusting.
Than I am, and I've lost a job over it in my life. And
clarify that,
because I would not stay quiet about it, and I reported it to police, and horrible things happened after that. And then 20 years later, it happened all over again, and the same person was involved. To this day, people don't believe it, and for me, it just blows my mind. So I've been involved. And
I just wanted to clarify.
Very, very personal.
You've talked about this on the air, but for people who don't know, it might sound a little odd if they tune in and you go, listen, I lost a job over a pedophilia situation.
I was a coach.
It had nothing to do with you. Right?
I was a coach many, many years ago, and that's all I want to get into about that. But it was horrible the way it went down. It was horrible what happened. The end was horrible. It just was terrible. And then years later, it became even more personal, which I refuse. I don't want to get into. So I'm not talking from someone who hasn't been involved in something like this. It's just my opinion. You do not have to change my mind. I'm not going to be out there trying to stop him from doing what he's doing. I just have an opinion. And we should all be able to be like, okay, that's your opinion. I'll talk to you in 2000 never, whatever. That's what he should say. All right, I got a break. It's 8:40 at WIBX.
Stop! School bus drivers needed. Durham Bus Services has a unique opportunity to drive school buses, from minivans to full-size buses. All buses are automatic, air-conditioned, and easier than ever to drive. We're looking for reliable members of our community to learn while you earn and get up to $23.50 an hour, a matching 401k, medical, and paid time off. Apply online at nellc.com or call 315-275-8329.
The Community Foundation of Herkimer and Oneida Counties is your community foundation. Together, we've invested $125 million in the community, thanks to people, families, and businesses that want to give back and build a brighter future. And you don't have to have big bucks to make a big difference. Join us as we invest in the future of our community. Learn more about your community foundation at foundationhoc.org.
Go green and save green right now at City Suburban. There has never been a better way to heat and cool your home than with a new Mitsubishi electric heat pump system from City Suburban. They provide energy-efficient comfort year-round, are whisper quiet, 40% more efficient than conventional systems, and offer room-by-room temperature control. And the best part is right now you can save up to $9,000 in rebates with the New York State Clean Heat Program while funds are available. Go green and make the switch switch today and has always received City Suburban's POMG. That's peace of mind guarantee.
This is Chris from City Suburban on Route 233 in Westmoreland. There has never been a better time to upgrade your system than right now. You can save up to $9,000 with New York State clean heat rebates and make your home more comfortable and efficient for years to come. Call us today at 853-3899. That's 853-3899. Or visit us at citysuburban.com.
Well, listen, if you need a bicycle, you go to a bike shop. Well, of course, they're the professionals. They know bikes like nobody, right? If you need flooring, you go to a flooring shop. They know flooring like nobody else. And we're talking about in Sarah's Flooring Outlet. Sal and his crew over there have you covered. And not only do they have the largest inventory, but keep in mind what that means. It means they have the flooring in stock. And that is hard to come by today. And it's a big deal. Pergo Extreme by Mohawk is an awesome product. And in Sarah's Flooring, because of their buying power, they'll meet or beat, really they'll beat anyone's Pergo Extreme price within a 60-mile radius of the store. That is in Sarah's. And we personally had work done where we had hardwoods put in, and the flooring looked beautiful, still does look beautiful, because my wife won't let me walk on it. Take your shoes off. I hear it often. But the craftsmanship that went into putting that flooring in was amazing. You can get 6 months interest-free financing in Sarah's Flooring Outlet, Route 49 Plaza, River Road, Marcy, and online in sarahsflooringoutlet.com.
Heritage Logging and Tree Removal is your trusted tree removal specialist. With today's extreme weather conditions and new invasive species wreaking havoc on your trees, you need to protect your valuable property and your precious loved ones. As soon as you suspect any problem, call and Heritage Logging will be there to assess your trees and give 24-hour emergency services. For all your tree care needs, call or text 315-796-2941 or visit heritagelogging.com. That's heritagelogging.com.
Do you feel like your current checking account just isn't working for you anymore? Maybe monthly fees are cutting into your already tight budget. Or maybe you're looking for more convenience with additional bells and whistles that allow you to accomplish more with less work. Whatever your reason, it might be a great time for you to check out the lineup of accounts at Adirondack Bank. From no-frills basic accounts to paperless high-yield accounts, we're sure to have the perfect solution for your needs. We also offer a large selection of extras such as customizable debit cards, electronic statements, online banking and bill pay, mobile banking, and mobile deposit. We also have a great client services team ready to answer your questions with our live chat. Visit our website at www.adkbank.com. Use the checking comparison tool and see which options are best for you. That's adkbank.com. Member FDIC.
Hey, if you need concrete, there's nobody any better than Brank Construction. B-R-A-N-C-K. They serve all of upstate New York. Whether you're dealing with old stone walls or old block walls, you need a chimney repair, concrete driveways, sidewalks, they have you covered. Nobody any better when it comes to concrete than Brank Construction. 315-894-3481. 315-894-3481.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
Man, do we have the comments coming in now? Holy moly in the morning.
Lance and Lee. Is Cameron Decker running against Jackie Izzo for mayor? Bill seemed a little tense during the interview.
Lance just won't get off my case. The hell is wrong with him? Mike says Cameron is simply trying to do the right thing the wrong way. Okay. And that's really thank you for that, Mike, because it's really what I'm saying. All right. Can we move on? Any others you got? You good?
Yes. Let's move on.
Major Darren Mudge is with us right now. He is with the Rome Salvation Army. New to the how long have you been there, by the way?
I've been here about 6 weeks.
About 6. Oh, so you are new.
So can you explain this? Is it every year or 2 years new leadership comes into a local Salvation Army branch?
That's a good question. It's actually every 3 to 5 years. There's no set time period. You know, it's just when people move, it's kind of a domino effect. They try to fill in, where there's openings and that sort of thing. So, yeah, we got the call that we're coming here to Rome. So.
Playing in a traveling band, 6 kids, 8 grandchildren.
So it wasn't a situation where you were out there on your own as a trying to get people to donate food, kind of like a vigilante, and now you've joined the Salvation Army.
Vigilante soup kitchen. Have you ever heard of such a thing?
Well, we do work a lot with kids, but
you do. Yes. Well, listen, this is a great organization that does great things. So tell us what's the latest in Rome since you've been there for just 6 weeks.
Well, we've been able to send some kids to our camp, our Salvation Army camp, which is wonderful. It's over in Penyan. It's like 140 acres, and the kids get to go there. They get to do all sorts of things, get out on the lake, ride horses, shoot bows and arrows, that sort of thing. It's a safe place, for the kids. And it's a great break for them where they can get away from home.
And a lot of times at home is more of a city life.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, much more urban. And so this gives them a real break. And it's good for them. They can enjoy their summer vacation. And there's some teaching that goes on there. So they try to keep them up to date, and keep them their minds still working and that sort of thing in the summer. It gets them away from the video games. It gets them away from the phones. It's just a total break.
Out with the ticks.
Yes, with the ticks and the mosquitoes.
I guess we didn't have to worry about all those things years ago, but today, I guess we probably did. We just didn't know.
It's crazy. When I moved here, I had Lyme disease.
You did?
I did. I had been out in the woods scouting because I like to hunt, and I got Lyme disease. Now, what I can't understand is they give dogs pills, right? That keeps ticks off them.
Right.
Why don't they do
What
that
about
for
us?
people?
Yeah.
What's that about? Anyway,
it's a good point. I do spray that DEET all over me when I'm going out. I have to do any weeding or something. I also think there are people who are prone to ticks, like anything else. Like
mosquito. Like sometimes you'll be sitting next to two people. They're not getting bit.
Getting bit?
You
over here, getting
mosquitoes all over you.
My son can walk through the lawn and come in with a tick. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I've never had one. I don't believe I've ever had one. But Lyme disease can be really, really bad.
Oh, it was awful. It was awful.
So how long did you deal with it?
Oh, at least 6 weeks. Courses of antibiotics and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Well, you caught it early enough where...
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. I don't know if you heard earlier in the program, I might be battling rabies. So.
Oh, my goodness.
No, it's I had a bat in the house, so.
Okay.
I've said that before.
As long as we just seem to be talking about everything today. My parents the other day, I got a phone call. They were coming to my house for my son's birthday and weren't leaving. And they weren't leaving. I'm wondering what is going on. And there was a rabid fox that came up the stairs. Now, that's odd, right?
For a fight.
Yeah.
It is.
For food.
So then it came down onto the lawn. It was rolling around, kept there was something going on.
Yeah.
And so they were nervous about leaving the house because they didn't know where the fox went.
Yep.
So
that's one of the sure signs of rabies is that they do things that's out of character.
It's out of character, and they're not afraid of humans.
Of humans, yeah.
All right. Well, we've gone again an interesting rabbit hole we just went down. Let's talk about what you want to talk about here today about the Salvation Army.
We're gearing up for Christmas. Christmas is unfortunately right around the corner. It's a busy time for us. And again, focusing on kids. We're going to be collecting toys. We're going to be out there ringing the bells. We do all sorts of things to try to make the Christmas season a little bit better for each of the families that we deal with.
What do you ask of the community to volunteer to ring a bell, or do you have lists now where people can sign up to say I'm going to sponsor a family, something along those lines?
Yeah. We have family sponsorship where they can say, I want to help somebody out, and we can match them up in terms of what size family they want to do and that sort of thing. We're always looking for people to ring the bells. We're always looking for people to donate toys. Last year, I understand they had some issues with not having enough toys, and at the last minute had to go out and do some shopping and get some toys in and that sort of thing. And we don't want to run into that. This season, we want to make sure that everybody that has a need out there is going to get met.
I was in one place where they recently were. This was at Christmas time, and it was a guy in the Santa suit, but he also had a saxophone. And he was so we had to look to some of the musicians that would come out and ring the bell, and there was somebody ringing, but it was ringing to the beat as he played the saxophone.
Yeah,
it was pretty darn cool.
Yeah,
that is cool.
I gave some money to that. I give to obviously it's hard to walk by. I mean, you feel like you don't feel really good if you.
It is.
It's like, oh, I didn't see you there ringing that bell, dressed in red.
Right. Or I play an instrument. I play trombone. So rather than ringing the bell and irritating people, because you do hear that.
Yes.
Somebody come up.
So you already do it.
Oh yeah,
That's awesome.
So I play my instrument so that people can't complain.
I think that's the
and
way
I
to
take
go.
requests.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
cool.
It becomes a gathering.
It costs
people,
money though.
People gather. You got to pay if you want the song. You got to pay. I love that. Great idea. And if somebody just wants to give right now, how do they help you guys out?
They can actually go online onto our website, and it's the Salvation Army Rome. And donate there. They can send us a check. Whatever way they feel they can contribute. We'll take if they have extra food that they've bought, and want to get rid of it. We are giving people food every day. Food insecurity is huge in the area, especially with inflation, and people can't afford things now that they used to be able to afford.
Right.
And so they're making choices. Do I pay for gas to go to work, or do I buy food?
The other thing is the Salvation Army store is always a big deal.
It's always a big deal. Yes.
Yeah.
And I used to be in that department that kind of runs the stores.
Okay.
The interesting thing about those stores is those stores actually support the Salvation Army's drug and alcohol rehab centers.
I didn't know that.
And they don't take any government funding. They don't take any health insurance or anything like that. It's completely free for anybody who needs drug and alcohol rehab. And so those stores, whatever they sell in those stores, go to support that.
My wife says we go to the Salvation Army for fashion rehab.
That works.
Listen, you just don't. You can find some really great.
Yes,
it's shocking.
You can. And the prices are amazing.
The price is really amazing.
Can't beat it,
So,
especially these days.
Especially these days. Major Darren Mudge, thank you. Let's do it again. And
love to. Thanks so much.
And before Christmas, it'll be Thanksgiving, and of course, feeding people at that time is always a big deal.
Yeah,
for you
that's a
guys
big
as well.
one too.
All right. And one more thing: is there a way to give to Salvation Army? Are you involved at all in Hawaii?
Yes. Yes.
Because
Salvation Army's there. Salvation Army is always there.
When there's a problem, no matter where.
They actually lost their building. They lost all of their center that was there in Lahaina. And so they're going to be rebuilding. But in the meantime, they're feeding people. They're feeding like 7,500 people a day.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
So people could go, and what would you do? If you wanted to give to Hawaii, you could notate on the donation?
Yes, Salvation Army, and put it in the notation section for Hawaii relief, and it goes right there.
All right. Okay,
Absolutely.
Major, thank you.
Thanks,
Let's
Bill.
do it again. Thanks so much. Salvation Army Rome, and you can look for that salvationarmy.org/Rome. Is that what you would have? Okay, nice. Thank you. I want to tell you about severe pain. If you have severe back, neck, or shoulder pain, there is help. And we're talking about Dr. Hyder at the Omni Surgery Center in Utica. And there are a couple locations, of course. In the business park is their facility, but surgeries are done at the surgery center on French Road. Website is killpain.com. And it's miraculous what Dr. Hyder is able to do, strategic, at the Omni Surgery Center to remove pain. You do not have to live with that pain. Call today for an appointment at 315-765-8448. The Omni Surgery Center, killpain.com.
Investing involves risk, including possible loss of principal. Income may be subject to state, local, or alternative minimum tax. Did you know that municipal bonds are a way for investors to support civil projects while earning federally tax-free income? The Erie Canal, which led to the expansion of the United States into the Midwest in the 1800s, was financed with municipal bonds. Are you looking to bridge the gap between the income of your working years and the income needed in retirement? Municipal bonds might provide the solution you're looking for. Henyon & Walsh is a leading specialist in tax-free municipal bonds and has provided investors with quality service and personal attention since 1990. Call now to receive their informative bond guide absolutely free. Dial 1-800-761-9761 to learn how to earn retirement income while keeping your taxes at bay. Just dial 1-800-761-9761 for a copy of their informative bond guide for free. No cost, no obligation. 1-800-761-9761. Henyon & Walsh Inc., member of FINRA and SIPC.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
All right, the official coffee of the Keeler in the Morning Radio program. Get your coffee over at Daylight Donuts, Seattle's best. 14 different flavors of lattes. And if you're looking for a job, they are looking to hire an assistant baker. And if you have no experience, they'll train. Reach out to Chuck at Daylight Donuts in New Hartford. Speaking of Chuck, here's another Chuck. Chuck from the Valley. Good morning. Good morning, Chuck.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
How are you?
Good. I just wanted to give a shout out to the Ilion Village Board for carrying the ball forward on the Duofold property. I did notice that John gave a shout out to just about everybody in the country, but he forgot, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that his short-term memory's not good. It was the previous village board under the leadership of Mayor Lamica, Bridget McKinley, Joni Moore, Ron Schoonmaker, and myself that actually pulled the trigger on buying that old building.
So
and
what?
It's very satisfying to see that there's going to be some development there. I just wanted to congratulate them on moving forward with that.
Chuck, and Chuck Lester was formerly on the village board, was assistant mayor in the village of Ilion. What's the development? What's going there?
They just said, I didn't read the whole thing. I just saw a blip of it. Multi-use, that's what it's always been targeted for. Fortunately, when we bought it, one of the first things we did is get all the proper soil testing and, the EPA and the DEC and everything that needed to be done so that you could move forward. I know that the IDA worked on grant money to get more testing and possibly, if necessary, removal done. And it's just a positive thing for the village of Ilion. It's been an eyesore for an awful long time. And I'm really glad to see that it's a project that's moving forward.
Chuck, I'm sure, I don't want to visualize this, but as a kid, the Duofold red flannel type.
I got a pair of those, man. The
jumpsuit. It was the union suit. Yeah.
Yeah. And my wife's one of my wife's aunts on her mother's side used to work at the old plant there in Ilion.
Yeah, I have plenty of family that worked there. I think my grandmother at one point worked at Duofold. So.
It's a beautiful thing.
And let's
it's a project that's going to move forward and it's going to be beneficial to the area, not just Ilion.
When Duofold, or when the Olympics came to Lake Placid, Duofold was an official clothing sponsor, and the athletes were wearing Duofold from Ilion, New York. It was really something special. So.
Isn't that amazing? We used to make stuff in our own country.
There we go. A little patriotism right there. We used to make things.
A little politics thrown in there. I wish we'd get back to that.
All right. Thank you, Chuck.
Chuck, this is your entrance song from now on.
See you later, guys.
All right. Bye. Have a great day.
You know what? And I'm proud of Chuck. He called up. He's giving credit where it's due.
Well, he did throw in a little.
He did throw in a little jab.
They forgot to mention.
Don't be negative, Bill.
Your good point.
Don't be negative.
It's a very good point. Before you
How
know it,
victorious, Chuck Lester. Raise that gold medal. Beautiful thing.
Yeah. I remember looking up out the window from my house thinking, I'm pretty sure I could see the fireworks from Lake Placid. I was naive, apparently. News is next.
From the Stanley Theater Studio, WIBX 950 Utica Rome, W295DI Utica Rome, your news, talk, and sports leader, a Town Square media station.
There will be a complete exoneration. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Former President Trump posted that minutes ago on Truth Social, teasing that coming on Monday, he'll release a report detailing what he still claims was election fraud in 2020. This hours after a fourth Trump indictment, this one in Georgia. He again calls this a witch hunt, saying the district attorney is out of control and very corrupt. That Fulton County DA, Fonnie Willis, alleges the former president and 18 other Trump associates charged conspired
to block the counting of the votes of the presidential electors who were certified as the winners of Georgia's 2020 general election.
Former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows and Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani among those indicted with the former president.
The charges include violating the Georgia RICO Act. Now, this is a law originally created to take down mobsters. He's also facing charges for solicitation of violation of oath by a public officer, among many other charges, including charges from his previous indictments like conspiracy to commit false statements and filing false documents.
Fox's Brooke Singman.
The district attorney is giving all defendants until next Friday at noon to surrender, and that is just 2 days after President Trump could be on stage at the first Republican presidential debate. But guys, he hasn't decided if he's going to attend just yet.
Fox News Radio will provide special coverage of the first Republican primary debate beginning at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, Wednesday, August 23rd. You can listen at foxnewsradio.com. Cadaver dogs keep searching the ashes and ruins of the burnout Hawaiian town of Lahaina.
99 are confirmed dead, and that number is expected to rise with hundreds still missing. And identifying the dead has been difficult. Only 3 of the 99 people that have been found have been able to be identified with fingerprints.
That's Fox Weather's Max Gordon in Maui. We just got an update on the economy showing we shopped more than expected last month. Retail sales rose 0.7%. America's listening to Fox News.
Consumer Cellular's award-winning customer support is 100% based in the U.S., and you are 100% based in the U.S. That's something you have in common with Consumer Cellular's customer service. And Consumer Cellular customer service likes pizza, and you like pizza. And Consumer Cellular has an acute fear of spiders, and your fear of spiders is acute as well. So you already have so many things to discuss when you call Consumer Cellular to talk about our affordable and flexible phone plans. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Do you feel like your current checking account just isn't working for you anymore? Maybe monthly fees are cutting into your already tight budget. Or maybe you're looking for more convenience with additional bells and whistles that allow you to accomplish more with less work. Whatever your reason, it might be a great time for you to check out the lineup of accounts at Adirondack Bank. From no-frills basic accounts to paperless high-yield accounts, we're sure to have the perfect solution for your needs. We also offer a large selection of extras such as customizable debit cards, electronic statements, online banking and bill pay, mobile banking, and mobile deposit. We also have a great client services team ready to answer your questions with our live chat. Visit our website at www.adkbank.com. Use the checking comparison tool and see which options are best for you. That's adkbank.com. Member FDIC.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Are you in the market for a vehicle? A vehicle that's like new, but you don't want to break the bank? Look no